Icebacks down in Minneapolis. Pam Bunny crash at Hogwatch. Speech at UBC later. Do we have a blast off meme? I think we do, actually. We do have one. Hold on. All right, let's blast off and let's get it popping. Let's get it popping. Let's get it twisted. You already know what it is. I got the blast off meme. Left melts down over Hassan Parker's comments on Gavin Newsom. This is why we lose. We'll obviously cover that a little bit as well. Shouts out to Ms. Welch. Shouts out to Jennifer Welch, my queen. It's like the master. Is it Master Roshi? Like the rat is like the Ninja Turtles meme of like me holding the hands of other people, and then they grow, and then they carry me. That's how I feel like, ideologically speaking, you know. Master Splinter. Sorry, not Roshi. Master Splinter. Fake fan. Okay, stop. I'm not very good with names. Stop. Why do you always do this? Why do you always do this to me? The fuck you doing, Canada? Big dog. I'm taking over. It's mine now. Donald Trump sent me as the vizier, the grand vizier, ahead of time. Okay? Donald Trump sent me as the grand vizier ahead of time. I'm scouting. I'm doing a scouting operation before we turn Canada into an American protectorate. Don't get frame mogged in Vancouver by ASU Hassan. I'm going to get frame mogged. Where was I? So yeah, Turtis. Someone in the chat said Turtis. I hate that you guys will call me out on my weakest moments. Okay, Turtis that was a private instance. Okay, that was a private situation. Why the fuck would you bring up Turtis right now? Yes, I don't have very good name recall, okay? I don't have very good name recall. You know this. That's why the Pokemon I came up with was Turtis. Will Neff leaked your guest for the pod Saturday? Yeah, we're going to have a very sweet Valentine's Day with my new Valentine that we will be replacing Austin Show with, Caleb Heron. But that's Saturday. Very excited about this guest, of course. Yeah, it's finally happening. Are you dead ass, Hasanabi? I'm dead ass. Turtis. Anyway, where the frick was I? Oh, yeah. So, timeline is still, the block is still hot. Timeline is still lit the fuck up. And I probably should, I said my piece, and I should probably stop dealing with these losers, and I most likely will eventually. But for the time being, I'm still enjoying the liberal congregation of like centrist libs being shit libs and just like screaming. Sony State of the Play, my lord. You're out of your fucking mind if you think I'm going to watch the Sony State of Play right now. I don't even know what time it starts. But if you think I'm going to watch that right now, you are on crack cocaine. Okay, you are a victim. Ronald Reagan gave you crack directly. You might be a crack baby, as a matter of fact. You might be more crack than man. Okay, if you think I'm going to watch the Sony State of Play right now, when there's a fuck ton of news to cover, okay, it's at 2 p.m. PST. It's an hour long. Most liked left talk yesterday.
The left
related.
is not going to vote.
Oh, this is more of the discourse
for Gavin Newsom, because that is a dangerous proposition. There is a reason those right-wing freaks currently favor Gavin Newsom over J.D. Vance. And it's not just because they hate J.D. Vance and think he's a little piggy, although he is. It's because they're thinking long-term. Gavin Newsom, the difference between him and Trump right now, substantively on policy, really not that different, because Gavin Newsom is running on locking in the fascist agenda. He doesn't want to tax billionaires. He's not going to get rid of ICE. He doesn't want to talk about trans people. He doesn't talk about universal health care. He's not going to cut military funding. He's not going to change policy on Venezuela. He's just going to be a handsome version of Trump, a blue version of red. And those right-wing freaks know that he's not going to fix the fundamental problems that led to fascism. He's not going to solve inequality. He's not going to make life better for the average American. He certainly doesn't give a shit about black and brown people. And he ends up setting the table for something much worse to come after him. After he is just a neoliberal failure, they can bring in something that makes Trump look cute. So I don't know why you're surprised that Hassan would not support Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, I mean, I literally said, I think what is often misunderstood about a lot of my comments is that Gavin Newsom will oversee the complete fascist takeover of American politics. Like, this was a major problem with Joe Biden in 2020. A lot of people think, oh, it's because Joe Biden was old. Sure, Joe Biden's age played a major role in this. But it also was Joe Biden and his administration's inability to address all of these longstanding issues around affordability, all of these longstanding issues around affordability that pertain to healthcare, okay, that even pertain to a more tolerant pathway towards amnesty, a more tolerant pathway towards migration, okay, refusing to address it outright, refusing to address the housing crisis outright. These are the reasons as to why fascism keeps brewing, especially in the absence of alternatives like socialism. Okay? This is the problem. They get triggered and latch on to you think they're the exact same. I don't even care. I know that they're not the exact same, but it doesn't matter. It does not matter at all. And I don't care if they say, Hassan, you're privileged, you're wealthy, you represent the interests of the wealthy, you just want Trump to win so you can make money. I don't care if they say that. It's wrong, and they're lying, and they can keep lying all day, every day. Perhaps this kind of lie makes them feel a little bit more comfortable about their inability to address these issues. Okay? That's what it is. A big part of the enmity, a big part of the animosity, a big part of the anger and resentment that comes from these centrist, libtarded, like establishment Democrat adjacent content creators who just want a fraction of the center of power in the Democratic Party and hopefully some checks down the line. And the reason why they engage in this kind of advocacy is because I forgot what I was going to say. Someone at my fucking door again. Holy shit. The reason why these guys do this centrist, neoliberal, third-way neoliberalism argumentation and basically get together with Gavin Newsom or stake their claim on Gavin Newsom is because ultimately they do not care about what happens. They don't want to actually do an autopsy on why Kamala Harris lost. They don't want to do an autopsy on why Joe Biden was seen as an abject failure. They don't want to do an autopsy on why Hillary Clinton lost. Okay? That's it. They don't want to do that. And the only way that they can argue, just as Israel defenders, which, by the way, many of these centrist liberals are also Israel defenders. I am aware of that. I am noticing that. But just as Israel defenders refuse to have an argument around Israel being an apartheid ethno-state and simply just go anti-Semite, 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 you're anti-Semitic, you need to stop talking, you're anti-Semitic, you need to stop talking. A lot of these centrist liberals will just go, you're a Republican, you love Republicans, you want to be Republican. Well, that's not the case now, is it? Because if I was a Republican, you'd probably be courting my votes. You would love to court my vote because you want to fuck Republicans. You want to hug Republicans. You want to suck Republicans. You want to be Republican. This is my problem. My anger and resentment towards the establishment wing of the Democratic Party, the moderates that are simply constantly trying to appeal to this mythical moderate voter, is their closeness to the Republicans on their agenda when it's completely fucking unnecessary. At best, it's unnecessary. At worst, it's conciliatory, and it locks in, it ratchets right-wing fascist ideology, right-wing fascist policy. It has the capacity to normalize it to the base of self-identifying liberals. That's it. If I was a Republican, you would be sucking my cock. You would be going, oh my God, this beautiful, moderate Republican voter, how do we get him on our side? How do we get him on our side? It is because you know that I am a leftist. You know that I'm a socialist, that you fucking chirp like this. Okay? You're not looking for reason. You're the one who's being unreasonable. You understand? Ayatse shouted me out. Let's go. Bro, the production on this shit is fucking nutty, by the way. Think about how much time and effort goes in to making a live production like this work. I want to give a huge shout out to the IATSE folks, the union folks that fucking poured their blood, sweat, and tears into making this production work in real time. Shouts out to the dudes who were in the trees. Like, every part of this is incredible work. Yeah. I don't know what that feedback is, but that's not, that's just from that clip in general. If they really believed in compromise, they would be compromising their position towards you. They just want to be Republicans. I know they want to be Republicans, but also still maintain the moral superiority of not voting for the Republicans. That's precisely the reason why. That's precisely the reason why they love when Republicans advance the same fascist agenda against the very same people that these guys talk about as a talking point whenever the harm reduction conversation comes around. These are the same liberals that turn around and say, I'm calling my neighbors, my Latino neighbors who voted for Trump, I'm calling ICE on them, right? It's that mentality where it's like, I get to literally participate in this like fascist action, this fascist militancy without actually having the moral baggage and the association with said fascist militancy. I get to feign moral superiority while simultaneously allowing this fascist regime to do whatever the fuck it wants. It's always this. Democrats courting Republicans. Ooh, we'll do anything for your votes. We'll be happy to compromise on anything. Democrats courting the left. We owe you shitheads nothing. Vote for us or you're personally responsible for the rise of fascism, you fucking idiots. And you know what's really beautiful about this? You know what's really funny about this? This might have motion on the liberal echo chamber that remains on the neo-Nazi website, Twitter. And even then, I think there's not a lot of motion there either, right? But you know who also is tired of the same old business as usual bullshit? Average self-identifying liberals who vote for the Democratic Party consistently every single fucking election cycle. Okay? This is such a nowhere conversation. No one is talking to each other about their disagreements. It's just talking past each other and creating some kind of character to yell at. Really? You think I'm creating a character to yell at? You think I'm not addressing my very same enmity, my very same animosity that I have had for the past fucking decade or so? I'm not creating a straw man. I'm tackling the issue at its heart. And I'm trying to also identify where this resentment from centrist liberals comes from. It's that simple. Not you, dum-dum. Oh, yeah, they want to present a straw man. They want to tackle a straw man because the actual argument itself is virtually impossible for them to address. That's why I likened it to the way that many Israel defenders argue. They can't argue on maintaining a humanitarian approach and wanting to build a liberal society in Israel because Israel is an apartheid ethno-state doing a genocide. So what do? They say, you're an anti-Semite, you're a terrorist, you're an Islamist, you need to stop talking, you need to lose your job, you can no longer have gainful employment. That is the only argument that they have. Because if they were to have the argument on the boundaries of humanitarian principles, a shared understanding of how we must uplift all, marginalized communities, all of a sudden, having a, 14th century style siege approach to a captive population of indigenous people in 2026 in real time, conducting a Holocaust with modern weapons that is live broadcasted to every single person's phones, it comes across as insane. It's indefensible, and they recognize that it's indefensible. So they have to just go on the attack constantly. And the centrist liberals do the exact same thing. Oh, we want to slap a D next to Republican policies because there's this mythical moderate voter, right? There's this mythical moderate voter that we have to compromise with. There's this mythical moderate that is also saying we want to make sure that there's a strong Republican Party. No, bitch, that person doesn't actually exist. And for years and years, you have created this carefully concocted propaganda to make it seem as though people actually demand this, to make it seem as though people actually want this. And now people are actually aware that they don't want this at all. They've realized that failure after failure after failure, you've caused people to recognize, in spite of the unlimited amount of propaganda coming from centrist Democrats, from mainstream media, that no, actually they want something more. Okay? They want something more. It's totally understandable. People are coming to our side on this issue. The Democratic Party's base of support, the voters, are coming to our side on this issue. Okay? No voter in the United States of America that is going to vote for the Democratic Party is like, can we please continue unlimited funds to the American military so they can do whatever the fuck they want to do, so that our pedophilic billionaire cabal can turn super profits year over year by extracting natural resources from the third world? Can we give Israel more money, please? Everyone that is speaking out against Israel needs to shut the fuck up and be censured and go to prison. Like, that's not a real position. And yet the Democrats make it seem like there's a mythical moderate voter out there that demands this. They're like, no, actually, don't fix the fucking potholes. I want to give more money to Israel. Like, shut the fuck up. Just like there's no mythical moderate voter that's like, no, actually, I do care about United Healthcare and its profit margins. No, it's fine. It's fine that I spend thousands and thousands of dollars on my fucking increasing premiums year over year. And then all of a sudden, when I, God forbid, get cancer, or my grandparents get cancer, I have to spend hours on the fucking phone, and then they still don't pay the entire medical bill. I love that system. I want to make sure that United Healthcare actually has even more super profits. I love that shit. Please. Do you understand? These poli-sci major liberals can't understand that the average liberal American would rather have decentralized reg guards than whatever the fuck is going on right now. Yeah. And it's crazy because they're obsolete, but they're still chirping into the fucking wind. This is what my takeaway was from the DNC. If you recall, this was the famous whisper scream speech, the whisper scream rant. After I heard Kamala Harris say, I want to have the most lethal military. This is when I realized, like, the Democrats are going to lose. Let's take a look, and you can maybe find out whether or not this was prescient. The only motherfucker that actually hates Republicans, okay? I'm gonna say it. I'm saying it, dude. I think Democrats don't fucking hate Republicans as much as I do, okay? They love saying, oh, I guess you want to vote for Trump then. But, like, dude, you don't fucking hate Republicans. You want them in your party. You desperately advocate for them to come to your party. You literally have them at your convention. You have them at your fucking convention. You have them come and speak at your convention. You literally have their loyal soldiers come speak at your convention, the border guards, the fucking cops. Like, you love them. You want to fuck the Republicans. You want to hug the Republicans. You want to kiss the Republicans. You want to be Republican. You want to be Republican. You're just a fucking Republican. I hate Republicans. You don't. You want to fuck them and you want to suck them, okay? So stop with this bullshit. That's it. Once again, right but too early on this assessment, even though, I mean, I guess you can't even say right but too early, because this is how the Democrats have operated over and over again, establishment Democrats in particular. Like, there is, when people say, Hassan, you're presenting this false dichotomy, you're making it seem as though there's no difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. I am angry at the Democrats presenting themselves as that, okay? And what's really funny, better yet, what's really funny about all this back and forth is that these people keep saying, Hassan, you're only popular because Trump is president. Hassan, your popularity stems from you constantly shitting on the Democrats. Okay. Doesn't that imply that the Democrats are unimaginably popular? Do you not realize why the Democrats are unimaginably popular? Perhaps you should listen to what I'm saying. Perhaps you should listen to what I'm saying about why the Democrats are unimaginably popular, because that's my argument. Okay? That's it. You can't constantly be this annoying school marm about imaginably unpopular. Sorry, did I say popular? Okay. You can't constantly be this incredibly woke, boring school marm that only deploys identity politics when it comes to defending centrist, neoliberal, third-way Democrats. You can't do that. No one is biting this shit. Okay? Did I say unimaginably unpopular? You said popular twice. Unimaginably unpopular. Unimaginably unpopular. Okay? That's it. Why are you saying marm? Isn't that a term? What does that mean? Isn't that what the word is? Like school marm. It means like a mistress in a school, like the headmaster. It is a word. What? Why are you? Yo, what the fuck's going on? I'm ESL up in this bitch, and you guys are. Yeah, like a hall monitor. Hello? Hey, yo, monolinguist. See yourself out of this conversation. Read a fucking book every now and then. You're illiterate, okay? Read a goddamn book. Don't fucking do this shit to me. And you make me question myself too. I'm like, I am ESL after all. Oh, and it's like, it's also these like dumbass, like liberal adjacent content creators as well. This is a bad argument from Hassan. Democrats are rainbow capitalists. Trans people have much stronger legal protections. I'm dying. I'm dying. Is there ever going to be a point where we have a normal conversation where people understand, or is it just going to be fucking shit stirring over and over again? Okay? Because that's another thing that is like really fucking annoying too. That's another thing that's really fucking annoying about these people that will be like, well, Hassan said Democrats hate trans people and will kill them. No, I said if it was electorally viable, Democrats would sell trans people as they have over and over again. Okay? That's it. That's it. The idea that like Democrats actually care about marginalized communities is anything but like a talking point. And even then, they don't really use that talking point all that much unless they're talking to someone like myself where they know I have a large trans community. They know I care about trans people. That's the only time where they ever deploy this argument. Okay? Democrats on the streets will run around and be like, no, trans people, cut it out. We don't fuck with them either. Come on, vote for us, Republicans, please. Vote for us, moderate voters, please. But then they fucking turn around and go, when they're talking to a leftist who does care about trans people, they go, how dare you don't vote for us? You must want every trans person dead. You know what I mean? That's it. You don't give a fuck about trans people beyond like a talking point that you can use against the left, that you can deploy against the left. That's all you do. All you do. That's all you do. Okay? Like, this is stupid. Andy Bashar is the governor of Kentucky and vetoed anti-trans laws during the election year when there was a negative incentive to do so. I know your ass watches enough of my streams to know I make that point regularly. Is the $10 Twitter revenue that important that you're acting? Like, that's what I'm trying to communicate here. There are moderate forces in the party backed by third wayers that have absolutely demanded the right trans people off. I've watched like 10 to 15 hours of your stream total in my entire life, like a lot of it. I think using the catch-all Democrats is misconstruing the issue. I've spent plenty of time talking about my thoughts on third way and those people, blah, 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 all this shit. Okay? I'm not saying all Democrats do this. I'm saying that the National Democratic Party is trying to move away from it. It's just like professional misunderstanders, bro. Professional misunderstanders on the liberal side. What is the reactionary tendency that people to my right always have, whether they are liberal or whether they're far-right reactionaries, that often goes, oh, you're making a point here. I'm going to argue against the different point. What is that? Organizer memes never organizes or posts memes. What's up with that? I know. Yeah. Worked for the Kamala Harris campaign, by the way. And definitely came up to me on the fucking stream at the DNC to talk about how big of a fan he was, by the way. Very odd that he's openly talking about how he's not a fan anymore, like right now. He's probably watching right now. You son of a bitch. What happened? When you came up to me to talk about how much of a fucking fan you were at the DNC when you were doing social media for the Kamala Harris team, that was a different attitude you had. Oh, I've only watched 10 to 15 hours of your streams. Oh, really? That's not what you were saying when you came up to me at the DNC, organizer memes. That was a different thing that you were saying at the DNC in person than what you're saying right now. This is what I mean. Not to get all Drake up in this bitch now that I'm in fucking Vancouver, Canada, but it is kind of weird how everybody pulls up super different in person. Everybody pulls up super different in person. They're like, oh my God, Hassan, your content has been transformational. It's changed my mind on so many issues. Thank you so much for doing what you're doing. Only to fucking turn around and be like, on Twitter, be like, oh, this guy fucking sucks. Am I right? Come on, please hire me. Democrats, please hire me again. I will do all of the social media for you, please. What is that? What is that about? What's that about? Just don't be fucking weird. Don't be weird. Don't do this. You know what my positions are. I know he knows what my positions are. I don't like when people do that. I don't like when people do that at all. I think it's so lame. It's so fucking lame to do that. I don't mind people that work for the DNC. There are a lot of wonderful Hasanabi heads that are actually, you know, they work in the DNC. I have no issues. See, I called it. I said he's watching right now. Exactly. It's crazy. Why the switch up? Why are you being a bitch? Are you too afraid to talk to the other centrist liberals about like what I'm actually saying here? Is that what it is? Don't be a bitch. Have some fucking backbone. Have some courage. Have some decency. I can't be the only one who's sticking my fucking neck out here. These guys don't have any sort of real world motion anyway. Don't do that. You are actually in those rooms. If you are going into those rooms and you're not having these conversations in those fucking rooms with those other people, you are selling the population down the line. You are literally not doing your fucking job. What good is it to say you're a DSA guy? What good is it to be a socialist if you're not going to fucking try to pull in the rooms that you're in, try to pull these people in a reasonable direction? I'm not gonna lie, this discourse is boring. It's not news that libs don't like you. I know, but it's just like disappointing. That's what I'm saying. Leverage the fucking positions that you get inside of those rooms. Otherwise, you're not doing anything. Okay? This shouldn't be just for you to get a fucking bag. Yeah. Yeah, these guys are so mad that Jennifer Welsh doesn't agree with them either. Jennifer Welsh, for some reason, valid criticism. Don't do that. Why bother learning from our mistakes when we can just relive the 2016 election cycle all over again every year? I know. I just, I'm endlessly frustrated by this stuff because I obviously have a reasonable critique here that many people agree with. It's not like I'm alone here. There has to be a reason to a certain degree that there are so many people in this community and the community keeps growing. And the people that I see that have never even heard of me experience the same frustrations. Maybe they don't have the adequate outlet to vent those frustrations. Maybe they don't have the political education to understand exactly why they feel the way that they do. But there are so many people. There are so many people who feel this way. After all, as I've said over and over again, 60% disapproval for the Democrats right now when they are supposed to be the only game in town that is opposing the Trump regime means something. Okay? You can't let these Democrats get away with fucking failure after failure. I'm not one of these guys who's an ultra. I'm not one of these guys who says you can't work with any Democrats. Although I understand that the Democratic Party is a liberal capitalist party that is a part of the bourgeois democratic process that makes it seem like there is like major disagreements between the two major parties, even though there is very clearly established consensus politics here at play, which is a major problem, right? I still don't shy away from trying to elect good Democrats that are close to my worldview. I don't shy away from working with Democrats who are not even close to my worldview, right? I talk to elected representatives all the time, elected representatives that are antagonistic to my worldview even. I'll talk to anyone and everyone. I work with more Democrats than a lot of these fucking chirpers do. Maybe not organizer memes because he is literally a fucking DNC operative, but like, I do. That's part of the reason why a lot of leftists get mad at me and say I'm a fucking sheepdog for the Democratic Party, that I'm all, but I'm taking all this revolutionary potential and like slamming it back into the Democratic Party. I'm a vote blue no matter who guy. That's what they say about me all the fucking time. Liberals think I'm a Marxist-Leninist third worldist who is like trying to build the revolutionary proletarian vanguard and says electoralism is fucking bullshit all the time. And the people to my left, the leftists, say I'm far too conciliatory with liberal bourgeois democracy. I'm far too conciliatory, and I am actually destroying the revolutionary potential of the American proletariat. It's literally constant. It's constant. I also think why I think you're instant. I vote for a third-party disingenuous answer to Jennifer Welsh's question. It's not a disingenuous answer. Do you want me? Did I stutter? Should I say it again? Should I say it again? Harm reduction narratives do not fucking work. Harm reduction narratives do not work on even someone like me, a fucking lifelong Democratic Party voter. That's something to consider when you're making this calculation. Okay? That's all I'm saying. No, it's not a disingenuous answer at all. No more of this harm reduction narrative, especially not 2 years out from the fucking election. It's the correct answer. You still got your Stein-Ware 2024 sticker, comrade? First of all, I never will vote for Jill Stein, and I did not vote for Jill Stein, and I told people not to vote for Jill Stein. Get the fuck out of here. Okay? There's other alternatives out there. I think given your stance, I want more people to come my way. Your answer is disingenuous. I don't think people are third-party voters. I think people just don't vote. That's it. Yeah, I'm not voting. Would that have been better for you? If your goal is to to reach the masses, if your goal is for me to present myself as a member of the masses, okay, I'm not voting if Gavin Newsom is the president. Should I, or Gavin Newsom is running for president? Because that is the majority, right? That's the plurality. The plurality, election cycle after election cycle after election cycle, are non-voters. Does that help you understand? Perhaps I should have reworded it differently by saying, yeah, I'm a non-voter at that point. Because I did bring that up. Organizer memes is implying you supported the Green Party. Yes, they have to lie. They have to lie, no matter who it is. Even if they're like a DSA comrade who's working with the DNC, they have to lie. Okay? You here already know that. They have to try and negatively polarize people against my position because they think my position is a threat. And they're right. My position is a threat. I am a threat to establishment Democrats. They need to understand that. I think a lot of those liberal, centrist adjacent content creators who want to get a chorus bag or who want to basically become like campaign, play a role in the campaign structure for like DNC establishment Democrats know that. And that's precisely the reason why they're latching on to this statement early on and attacking early on. That's it. I do not want Republicans to win. I do not want Republicans to win. These guys, whether they recognize it or not, make Republicans win all the time. All of our candidates are good. Hillary was good. Joe was good. Kamala was good. The next candidate will be good. The problem is y'all want a perfect candidate, not a good one. And you're weirdly comfortable with throwing vulnerable people under the bus if you don't get one. Okay? This last year has been Democratic Party consultants desperately trying to figure out how to reach young men over and over again, being like, oh, perhaps we were being so disingenuous in our identity politics laden commentary. Okay, perhaps that was an ineffective messaging strategy. Perhaps we should go on the Joe Rogan Experience. All of these conversations took place already. And now all it took was for some fucking leftist bro-coded guy to turn around and say, sorry, Gavin Newsom sucks. We need something better. And the people are demanding something better. And Gavin Newsom is either not going to win, or if he were to be the candidate and then eke out a marginal victory, what comes after is going to be even more heinous than what we have seen. This is what the cycle has been for the last 50 fucking years at this point, especially post Ronald Reagan. This is what has been the cycle. Third way neoliberalism that locks in Republican deregulation, that locks in Republican tax cuts for the super wealthy. And it doesn't make sense. The argument here doesn't make sense for a couple different reasons. One, am I irrelevant and should not be listened to, or am I the fucking kingmaker? Did I single-handedly cause Kamala Harris to lose the election, or am I someone that should be avoided? Okay, because you're saying both right now. And if I'm farming off of the unpopularity of the Democratic Party, doesn't that say more about the unpopularity of the Democratic Party? Shouldn't you try to understand where and why and how the Democratic Party is unpopular rather than yell at a fucking random guy on Twitch? Why is there so much voter apathy? Why is there so much distrust in the Democratic Party, especially right now when historically, when you have a deeply unpopular Republican Party, a Republican candidate, a Republican president, or a Republican administration, automatically the only alternative, the only game in town, the harm reduction kicks in because they see the harm, right? And the harm reduction kicks in and they go, oh, of course I like the Democrats now in comparison. Why has that not happened this time? This is why one of my predictions was like, if the Democrats don't change their strategy, the midterms won't be as favorable to them as they believe it will be. I think it can. There's a real opportunity there because there's so much discontent. But they have to at least lean into it. That's exactly why I don't get why you're jumping in so hardcore on this. I think you do have the motion, which is with the chronically online only. Normies was 4 minutes of news a day. They aren't going to listen to the rest of what you're saying third parties actual poison the median voter. What are you talking about? Okay, stop trying to argue with like the optics of exactly how I responded to this. Okay, I should have said I'm a non-voter. I don't care about voting because that is literally the median voter's position. They don't vote. Okay, the average American does not fucking vote. Jesus Christ. This guy's like, no, if I was in your shoes in that moment, I would have answered much better, dude. And everyone would be sucking my dick right now, left to right. Everyone would be like, wow, this is a brilliant analysis. you do realize that most of these people that are criticizing right now are not actually criticizing my position, my well thought out position that I've advocated for years and years and years. They're simply developing a straw man and attacking that straw man in an effort to try and forcibly excise someone like myself and this community away from the Democrats. They want the Democrats to go to them. They want the Democrats to go to them so that 50 people can watch what they have to say. They don't want the Democrats to go to people like myself. They don't want the Democrats to listen to people like myself. That's all this is. Many of you are either going through their second cycle of failure and hatred and anger and wondering, like, yeah, I've been there. Like, I'm a lifelong Democrat, okay? I've been a Democrat my whole life. All right? I've been a Democrat my whole fucking life. I've went through more election cycles than you. That's just it. That's the big difference here. But there will come a point in time when your third eye will open as well, where you go, kind of feels like the controlled opposition attitude that the Democrats represent is part of the reason why there's a lot of enmity towards them. Okay? This doesn't mean that, like, the Democrats are not, the Democrats are unsalvageable, or they cannot have good candidates that we can use, right? This doesn't mean that at all. You can. Zoran is a great example of this. AOC is a good example of this as well. See, look at these fucking morons, dude. Look at this fucking idiot, dude. You hold a lot of power and followers. You should be encouraging voting. I do. I always do. There has never been a moment where you can find a singular instance where I said, don't vote. Voting is bullshit. You can't find it because that doesn't exist. Stop believing liars. You're in here right now. Okay? I have never urged people not to vote. I have never told people to go and vote for the Green Party, and I've never urged people not to vote. Ever, 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 ever. That's fucking bullshit. Okay? Stop being a fucking moron that gets duped. Every fucking election cycle, I have voted on stream, as a matter of fact. I filled out my ballot on stream. Shut the fuck up. Stop believing these dumb donkeys on the internet. The only difference between me and someone like Hutch, for example, who said he would vote for Jeffrey Epstein as long as Jeffrey Epstein was a Democrat, is that he has discouraged people from voting. He has. I never did. Notice how a lot of the libs attacking you are also pushing for the Dem Party to try and pull Epstein. Imagine how popular they would be after people find out the streaming version of Weinstein is being popularized by the Dems. I know. The Republicans would literally make fucking mincemeat out of the Democrats if the Democrats basically got close to a dude who procured child sexual abuse material from victims of sex crimes that he committed, that is constantly in a fucking court battle over this process, that has literally highlighted Nick Fuentes and Lauren Southern and Sam Hyde and numerous other fucking white nationalists, white supremacists, neo-Nazis who says the N-word. Like, the Republicans love a guy like that. They love that hypocrisy, even if they agree with that shit, right? On the one hand, they will defend Nick Fuentes. On the other hand, they will say, see, this is your guy, a guy who loves Nick Fuentes. They'll do a highlight reel. His own son is a fucking neo-Nazi. These Democrats are so stupid if they think... No, they're not that stupid. Let's be real. These people are on crack cocaine if they think that, like, as long as we take out Hassan and Democrats no longer want to associate with Hassan at all or don't want to go on a stream at all, that they'll turn around and they'll love destiny, sex pestiny. You know what I mean? Hassan is like Homeland. He just want to be liked. Yeah, that's why I take these positions that seemingly cause a lot of fucking anger and animosity. Yeah. I love this. My whole life, regardless of the perceived popularity of socialism, I have been told over and over again, oh, you're just saying this because it's popular. You're just saying this because it's popular. You're just saying this because it's popular. And then year over year, they keep consistently turning around and saying it's actually unpopular. We can't be socialist because it's unpopular. But you're just saying it because it's popular. Okay, what is it? What is this fucking inconsistency? What is this inconsistency? I am consistent in my positions, okay? I've always been consistent in my positions. That's why you can go back to like 8 years ago and watch videos, watch articles that are written, or read articles that are written, watch videos that are made about calling ICE Gestapo, about warning the Biden administration, about not tackling the issue of immigration if they don't actually follow through on the promises that Joe Biden had made in the first 100 days of their immigration agenda, they're ultimately going to fucking have major problems. The Republicans are going to use it and abuse it, and they did, warning the Democrats to not lean into right-wing reactionary sentiment on immigration. Nobody listens to that shit. And then when the predictions actually unfold, I just feel like a rich white guy telling black and brown people who are literally under occupation in cities, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, stop. We're not doing that, okay? This kind of shit is just for the birds, okay? It's just for the birds. If you want to say I'm a rich white guy and I'm racist and I love the Republican Party, whatever, you can keep chirping that. Maybe in your little fucking group, they'll believe you, they'll agree with you. It doesn't matter. None of the Democrats that you actually want to get elected have actually gone out to those fucking streets. I have, okay? Stop it. Stop it. You are a wrecker. You don't want progress. You just want to keep chirping, okay? That's it. That's it. That's it. It's idiotic. It's also electoral poison. If all you care about is electability, that's electoral poison, okay? Democrats, when we were talking about the genocide in Gaza, we're like, la, 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 can't hear you, shut the fuck up, bitch. All of a sudden, they care about marginalized people. Get the fuck out of here. No one believes this shit. During the time, liberals like Hutch argued that leftists like Hassan were not needed for Kamala to win. Those same liberals now blame Hassan for Kamala losing. Oh, wow, he had a 50-50 chance of getting that right. How amazing. Yeah, if only the Democrats didn't blow that 50-50 chance. I'm not saying the odds are fucking incredibly difficult to comprehend. I'm saying that it was a 50-50 chance and the Democrats blew it. All right? GQ took that propaganda China magazine story and using your face. I know, I'm gonna read it. Anyway, let's watch Jennifer Welsh's takeaway from that conversation, or at least like the major controversy that came out after the fact.
Is winning right now. They're winning because MAGA is so horrible. They're polling historically low. And within the Democratic Party, you have a couple of different sects. You have the corporate Democrats, the vote blue no matter who. And then you have real progressive Democrats who kind of feel homeless but end up voting with the Democrats because of harm reduction. And I was the former, and I'm morphing into the latter. After Kamala lost, I really started taking a look. Why?
Jennifer Welsh is not alone. Jennifer Welsh is speaking to a very common experience. Jennifer Welsh's experience going from vote blue no matter who and a harm reduction voter to a voter that says, I think we need to demand more from the Democratic electeds, and clearly the harm reduction narratives are not working, is an experience shared by many people, okay? Many average American liberal Democratic Party voters. A lot of these centrists are relying on the harm reduction to kick in. A lot of these centrists are relying on Democrats basically looking at the current state of affairs with the Republican Party and its unlimited cruelty and saying, oh, they're going to come back to us. They're going to come back to us. We don't have to do anything, okay? Yeah. That's it. I really, really, really appreciate that she is sticking her neck out on this too.
Are Democrats losing to this man, this moronic, fascist man? How are we losing? So I had a conversation with leftist streamer Hassan Piker and Austin Show on I've Had It in New York City. And a clip from our conversation is going viral all over Twitter and social media, TikTok, Instagram, etc. And this conversation to me is it appears that people online are trying to shut this conversation down. And when somebody's trying to do that, then I think, oh, this is the conversation we absolutely need to have. And so I'm going to play a little bit of it right now. Please do not back out of this video, because to me, this is the most important conversation to be had within the political spaces right now for anybody that wants to fight fascism. Play the clip.
Disappointed in
Who
Gavin
do you vote
Newsom.
for, J.D. Vance or Gavin Newsom?
Well, I'd have to vote for Gavin Newsom.
Me
of
too.
course, 100%.
I wouldn't blink.
No
What
doubt.
about you, Hassan?
I'd probably vote third party.
You would?
Oh, yeah. I mean, at that point, it doesn't even matter. Like, because my policy on this is the same as like my refusal to endorse Kamala Harris. The reason why I did not endorse Kamala Harris was because she did things that were not only unproductive, but also unconscionable. And I still stand on that. I still talk about it all the time because people constantly bring it up. They're like, you didn't sufficiently like promote Kamala Harris. You're the reason why she lost. And I'm like, I am incapable. There is no singular force in this country that is capable of making or breaking an election. And if that was real, then it is the most idiotic thing not to listen to my demands. But everybody knows that that's not real, right? Mm-hmm. If I had this singular force to be able to make Kamala Harris the president, then Kamala Harris should be coming to me every day and being like, let me do a collab with you, please.
Totally.
Right? That's not the case, of course. And they know it. That's why they didn't do it. But the campaigns are always responsible for whether or not they are able to win the crowds.
Okay, pause that right there, Kylie, and leave it up. So what he's saying here, I think, is really true. Number one, when it comes to Gavin Newsom, for somebody like Hassan, who has felt very homeless in the American two-party system, you have Gavin. I gave him a hypothetical question: Gavin Newsom or JD Vance. Gavin Newsom, instead of going on Hassan's
chat moves so slow, it's because they're all locked in listening to Mother.
He has had Charlie Kirk on, and he has had Ben Shapiro on. Gavin Newsom has. In each case, he ceded progressive causes. He ceded trans rights, and he ceded ICE to Ben Shapiro very easily. He's fumbled on Israel big time, and he's a huge corporate donor. Receives a lot of PAC money, and he has said that he will not tax billionaires. All of these things are very unpopular with Democrats at large, specifically with this group of people that feel homeless in the America two-party system. So from Hassan's perspective here, he's like, I'm going to vote third party because he doesn't see any difference in the help for marginalized people. He sees one person that campaigns as slightly liberal, yet takes all of the same money from these corporate PACs. And so online, the liberals have completely wet the bed, and they're going after Hassan 2.5 years out from a general election, and are trying to pigeonhole him in that he's a terrible American and, you know, all of this could be his fault, which is insane. If we look at historically what's been happening in American politics, Bernie started beating this drum. And his message, in my opinion, and I didn't vote for Bernie, and I have recently said I regret that vote because I have been doing a lot of internal thinking and studying as to what are my politics, because my politics have typically been my whole adult life. I'm liberal and I vote with Democrats. Well, the Democrats keep losing.
I do want to mention something, though. It's not a good sign that Democrats are running the electability, or not even the electability argument, but like the harm reduction narratives like 2 years out. It's not a good sign at all that a lot of these like liberal content creators who feel as though like they have to do this over and over again. They're doing it so far out right now before the primaries even happen. Especially when like the harm reduction narratives are just not they're not good. They're not good at getting people off the couch is precisely what I'm saying. Right? Like, I can't believe I'm literally being pre-blamed for a loss that might take place in the fucking future.
And so I started digging beneath that surface. Why are Democrats losing? Specifically during Kamala Harris's campaign, when she started trotting around with Liz Cheney, it really struck me. Like, why is she trying to get these people to vote for her that will never, ever vote for her? Why isn't she courting the progressive side of the party? And here's what's so critical. In the last campaign, it's not that Trump grew his vote. It's that less people that typically vote Democrat turned out. So the Democratic Party, instead of courting the progressive side, they go and court the Ben Shapiros, the Liz Cheneys, the Charlie Kirks, these elusive right-wingers that are never, ever, ever going to peel off and vote for a liberal. Because here's the thing. In middle America, everybody believes Kamala to be super progressive. The Hassans of the world are like, no, she's a corporate Dem. Gavin Newsom is a corporate den, but in the psyche of the American public, they're like, oh, they're so liberal. So moving to the center is a fool's errand and is perceived as disingenuous. So Kylie,
it's not only perceived as disingenuous, it almost looks like you're caught with your pants down, right? But also, it's not for like a real base. If Kamala Harris said, I'm in it for Medicare for all, baby, affordability is a major crisis that Americans are facing, and a big part of that is the affordability of healthcare, and therefore I'm going to solve this fucking problem. If she ran on that, people would at least have something to hold on to. That's the main success of Zohran Mamdani. Okay? That is the main success of Zohran Mamdani. He had 5 policies that directly tackle some of the key issues that New Yorkers were facing that were within the confines of permissibility. It was totally doable, and he's doing them right now. It's that simple. That's the reason why he won, in spite of the establishment Democrats going after him, even though he won the primary. Right? In spite of the entire Republican machine coming after him, in spite of the Israel lobby coming after him. Why are liberals freaking out about Hassan not committed to vote for Gavin Newsom? Isn't the point of a centrist campaign to win over Republican voters? If you're confident in the moderation strategy, Hassan's comments shouldn't concern you. If they do, ask yourself why. Yes. Exactly. And if you think I'm a Republican, right? If I'm MAGA, then you should court my MAGA vote, okay? You love courting MAGA voters. Now Republicans are moderates and people just highlighting that leftists aren't worth the energy. They say they would vote for Kamala with an arms embargo. We no longer believe them. Okay. If leftists aren't worth the energy, why are you freaking out about it? If we're not worth the energy, why are you spending all your time chirping? Perhaps it's because you recognize that there is a change, there's a shift happening in the base of support, and you're losing your fucking grip. You're losing your grip at the core of the party. You at least recognize that the establishment Democrats that are losing their grip of power at the core of the party, they're losing the base, are no longer going to be able to give you money. It's super simple. All you can do in this situation is recognize what the demands are of the public and then communicate those demands to the establishment representatives that you're courting the campaign contributions of. You want those campaign contributions to come down into your pockets. You want to get paid by them. That's why you're playing the role of this like servant of the DNC for free right now. Just tell them the truth. It's a mutually beneficial relationship regardless. It's win-win. If you say the truth, you'll become more popular. Okay? If you're running around thinking like, why won't people understand that the establishment Dems are fucking awesome? Okay? Why is Hassan so popular? If you're running around thinking that, because I know some of you are, right? The haters that are in here right now. This is the reason, because I have uncompromising positions. I have a mechanism for change. I believe in it. I believe in the affirmative vision for American society. I will work with people in the Democratic Party to get that vision across. I'm not going to be inauthentic. I'm not going to fucking lie to my audience. I'm not going to say Joe Biden isn't a dog shit old ass cadaver that is going to lead the country into a horrible state, right? I'm not gonna shelter my audience from that truth. You can get mad if you want, but I'm principled and I'm always going to be honest. I'm principled, I'm stubborn, and I'm always going to be honest about my perspective. You might not agree with that perspective. If you don't want to fucking agree with that perspective, that's fine. We can have a conversation about why I might be right and you might be wrong. I'm unbought and unbossed, which is why a lot of these guys get really fucking mad, because I'm backed by my own community. That's it. I don't need to go to the DNC and beg them for finances. I don't need to go to Democratic candidacies and go, hey, can I get like $7,000 for a post, please? That's it. And it fucking pisses people off. And the reality of the matter is the Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers. As you know, your subscriptions help me maintain my editorial independence. But like, even before I had a fuck ton of subscribers, I still was saying the same shit. I was saying the same shit. I was preaching to a much smaller audience. It was my principled stance that allowed me to reach this level of success. Not because what I was saying was automatically popular. It took fucking years and years and years for people to get there. Okay?
Pop up, or let's finish this clip and then I'll pop up some of the reactions.
Combat against the couch, not necessarily even against the Republican Party, but usually you're fighting against the couch, people who just don't go out and vote. And for me, the way I see it is if the Democratic establishment makes this decision one more time, just as they did with Hillary Clinton, just as they did with Kamala Harris, and in some ways, just as they did with Joe Biden as well, which led to Trump too, then they just don't care. And there's not much I can do.
Let me tell you something. Yeah. I agree with everything you say, but as a person who lived in a red state for 50 years, I would crawl through 10 feet of concrete to vote for Gavin Newsom, even though I think he's duplicitous, a hypocrite, a thirst trap, hungry for power, all of the things that you say, and harms the Democratic Party and sets the psychological soil to be more prey to fascism. All of that I agree with. But there are so many young, queer, Black, brown, marginalized people in red states. And even though this corporate Democrat is, you see it in a long term.
You are still young and hopeful. Some of us have seen a lifetime of third-party candidates lose over and over again. We're worn out and afraid. What are you talking about? I'm not even a fucking third-party advocate, okay? At least for the time being. There is no third-party viability. Like, this is... If you listen to my commentary all the time, I speak on it all the fucking time. This is part of the reason why I work within the confines of the Democratic Party, because it's unfortunately the only viable outlet that we have right now that is closest to our agenda. Okay? Like... The third-party viability conversation is basically the same conversation that liberals are having with someone like myself, okay? Which is, you're the reason why Kamala lost, and you're the reason why the third party is not viable. I don't think you guys understand. There's a reason why Zohran Mamdani ran as the Democratic mayor of New York, as a Democratic socialist, okay? If he ran as a third-party candidate in New York City, he would not have won that fucking primary, regardless of how good his policies are. Unfortunately, that's how his politics works. Okay? That's how politics work in general. Can y'all please internalize that Hassan said he'd vote third party because of the situation? If it was Gavin versus JD Vance, would already be so cooked to be pointless. He doesn't actually think third party is viable. Get this through your skulls, please. Exactly. Are you seriously ignoring the... What? Witch hunt your community is doing against me? Who are you? What? Hassan, can we have a sex stream soon?
Game. In the short-term game, a President Newsom over a President JD Vance. Okay, so that's the clip, and that's where they cut it off that went viral. And Hassan was making the point to me, and we're friends. And so we're having a political conversation, and these conversations should not be shut down. This is the most important conversation as far as Democrats winning moving forward. Hassan is saying, look, Democrats are up against the couch. What are you going to do to motivate people to get up off their ass and go vote? Going and playing patty cake with Ben Shapiro is not going to do it. Playing patty cake with Liz Cheney is not going to do it. Taking AIPAC money is not going to do it. It's going to make people like Hassan and many, many others that feel homeless in the United States political, two-party political system stay on the couch. And so I think that's a really valid point. Now, I have this red state trauma of living in a red state for 50 years and seeing how damaging.
A complimentary point to the position that Jennifer Welsh is making here, but it's not just people who feel homeless in the base of the Democratic Party. It's a lot of moderates too. Because like there is an economy of time that you spend on the campaign trail, because Democrats unfortunately only run every 2 years, every 4 years, if at that. They forget that Republicans are running all the time. They're always advancing their agenda, right? And the reality of the matter is, there is no real argument for we are pro-Israel Democrats. Like, that's not real. The swing district voters, the median voters, are not sitting around and going, oh, I really want to vote for the Democratic Party because they're pro-Israel. I really want to vote for the Democratic Party because they are continuing the genocide of Palestinians with my tax dollars. Like, that is my... Like, I was going to vote for the Republicans, but now I'm voting for the Democrats for that. There is no swing district voter, for example, that's going around and saying, I actually want to make sure that, Cigna, Aetna, United Healthcare CEOs deliver super profits for the shareholders. Okay, I don't want to take that away from them. Like they're not making decisions on this. They're making decisions on the Democrats looking silly because the Republicans take advantage of the fact that the Democrats don't have discernible policies, decipherable policies. They don't have like key plank positions that you can identify them with. They are not definable by key plank positional policy making in the same way that Republicans are, as a matter of fact. This was a major difference between Bernie Sanders, for example, and someone like Kamala Harris. You know what Bernie's about. You know what Bernie's about, right? He's been telling you what he's about for years, okay? You don't know what Kamala Harris is about. So when you don't know what she's about, then Republicans can present her as like a silly person who wants to give, whose only decipherable policy position is like giving bottom surgeries to transgender Guatemalans in a detention facility, right? And then Democrats look at that and go, oh, we got cleaned out on this trans shit. We got to cut the trans people out of this conversation. It's like, no, if you want to defend trans people, and you should be uncompromising in your defense for trans people and for all marginalized communities, then you present a comprehensive, universal policy agenda that people can get on board with so that the discourse is around those things, the good things that you're going to give them, and you're not constantly finding yourself in a defensive posture on culture war issues where you get fucking owned by the dumbass Republicans who lie about everything. It's that simple. If you had a vision and an agenda that said, hey, we want free healthcare, we want free college, you're going to get attacked. Let's be real. You're going to get destroyed by mainstream media. But at a time when mainstream media is also losing its influence, there are people like me and many others who will ride for you, who will make up for the lack of support that you're getting from newspapers. There are people out there who will go to your town halls. You will be able to have a real populist, grassroots-backed candidacy. This is the reason why Zoran was able to win against all odds. There is no mathematical equation where this works, by the way. Kamala was able to change 3% of voters' minds, but she lost 11% who voted for Biden. This math did not work, and people like myself could see it from a mile away. This idea that you're like posturing to the moderates, posturing to the right-wingers, you're gonna pull right-wing voters away from the Trump campaign, and they're gonna come back to you. It was bullshit.
Republican policies are. And so I will vote for these short-term solutions to mitigate so that a woman who has been raped can receive health care, can get an abortion, because in Oklahoma right now, she can't. And I'm interested in having this conversation with Hasan because what we voted for with Biden is we voted for a sober driver. We had a drunk driver with Trump, and we needed a sober driver. And Joe Biden was our sober driver. And Joe Biden did some good things. There was a lot of policies that he did that were good, but a lot of things he did continued and incubated fascism. And it's a really important conversation we have to have. The Democratic Party taking corporate money, giving blank checks to Israel, compromises them. And then to the voters at large, they go, well, there's really no difference in the two. And then you end up voting, your preconceived default settings of politics. And so here's what happens. That's where they cut off the video. And stay with me here. Here's all the liberals just bashing Hasan. This guy, Tim, this is incredible when you think about it. If leftists like Hasan had their way, Republicans would be in charge from 2016 to 2032 at least. How is he even considered any?
It's so funny because there's only been a brief moment in between where the Democrats actually won back power, for the record. Even in his hypothetical, it's okay, really? If it wasn't Joe Biden, it was Bernie Sanders in 2020, it would be bad? They're all centrist opportunists, okay? That's
left. And what I would say to Tim here is what Hasan is saying is we need to build a party that has an FDR style impact that really, really impacts the lives of people instead of this slow moving incremental change that the current Democratic Party always proposes and leaves so many people out in the pasture and incubates them to go vote for the change candidate. And in both 2016 and 2024, that change candidate was Donald Trump. When Kamala Harris put herself with Liz Cheney, they reeked of the two-party system establishment. And again, Donald Trump seemed like the disruptor. Go to the next one. This is the one that really popped up. Usurp the chef says, when asked if he'd vote for Gavin Newsom or J.D. Vance for president, Hassan said he'd vote third party. This proves Hassan doesn't care about any of the marginalized groups he pretends to support. All he cares about is taking money from them so he can buy more outfits for Stream. Okay, usurp the chef. This is intellectually dishonest completely from top to bottom. Gavin Newsom has proven that he doesn't care about trans people. Gavin Newsom has proven
like people will say like, oh, Gavin Newsom advanced like so many bills that are LGBT friendly. Of course he did. No one is saying that blue states are not safe havens for trans people. Okay. The point is, after all of that, why is he positioning himself as more moderate on trans issues? Because he wants to run for president. That signals that he's going to pivot. Okay. And if all you care about is the protection of trans people, which I don't think anyone is actually like that, for the record. No one is a single issue voter on trans people. And yes, this includes trans people as well. Guess why? Because trans people still need to pay for fucking healthcare. Trans people are not magical, mystical beings that like live in this separate plane of existence where they don't give a shit about healthcare. They don't give a shit about making rent. They don't give a shit about having a good job, right? Like everybody cares about the universal policies that we're talking about. But the issue here comes from the fact that these guys will be like, oh, well, you don't care about marginalized people. You don't care about trans people. Bitch, you don't care about trans people. You want Gavin Newsom, who is openly communicating that he's going to pivot away from this trans shit. You think that's your candidate, right? It's so stupid. Yes, of course, blue states are better for trans people than red states are. It's not even a question. Gavin Newsom himself has also unironically advocated against the trans bills as well internally within the party structure. Like a lot of those bills get passed. Like Tim Walz took a lot of credit for the Democrat Farmer Labor Party's wins with the one-person majority that they had in the state Congress, right? And what's interesting about that is that apparently, and I have some inside baseball on this. Tim Walz wasn't exactly on board with a lot of these bills. They take credit for it after the fact in the same way that Republicans take credit for the infrastructure spending that they vote against. Okay? These guys will stand in opposition to progressive legislation and then take credit for it after the fact. Kathy Hochul did this as well. It's just very frustrating. But this is not just about trans people anyway. Like my argument is not just about trans people regardless. Okay? It's not. My argument for trans defense revolves around a good offense on universal policies so that the trans conversation is not even a major point of contention, so that the opposition looks silly and ridiculous. Because at the end of the day, transphobes need healthcare too. At the end of the day, transphobes also want to fucking make rent, right? You want to give them an argument to vote for you in spite of their transphobia. Same with racists. Same with homophobes. So when one side is saying, hey, listen, you're transphobic, fine, sucks to suck, trans people exist, nothing you can do about it, but do you want universal health care? Because we'll give it to you regardless of your fucking idiotic worldview. Versus the other side going, no, we're going to kill trans people, we're going to kill trans people. You have a much higher likelihood of winning those guys over to vote for you than constantly being even on a defensive posture about trans people, being like, no, trans people are beautiful, they're wonderful, we care about our trans allies. We care about trans people, even though the Democrats aren't even doing that. I saw someone talk about the FDR stuff, right? Where they were like, FDR got the New Deal across because he caved to the fucking white supremacists. And it got me thinking. I was like, yeah, you know, there is truth to this. Like, politics is the art of what's possible, right? Except Democrats don't have the material improvements in their agenda, and they're just caving to the racists. Like people don't understand that the conversation around FDR is oftentimes turned on its head, right? Where people will be like, "Oh, FDR only was able to get the New Deal across, which spelled material improvements for large segments of society by carving out concessions against black people." Okay, by carving out concessions against black people, like basically implemented what the practice known as, like, historic practice known as redlining, all this stuff, right? Except Democrats are doing that, right? They're conceding on the racism stuff without even advocating for material improvements at all. It's a demonstrable fucking failure. I'm saying you don't need to do any of that. The ahistorical interpretation of FDR pissed me off. They built beautiful public housing in black neighborhoods like the Harlem houses, which still exist today. I know. I'm just saying that even in the false interpretation, it still doesn't help their analysis, right? Yeah, 1 dozen rats at a keyboard says this whole meltdown is going to be hilarious in retrospect after Newsom gets dog walked out of his lane by Bashar or Ossoff next year, which I agree. That's another thing that I agree as well. Like, Gavin Newsom is no motion. The whole reason Newsom is astroturfing this presumptive 2028 nominee status so hard is that in an actually open field, he doesn't really bring anything uniquely beneficial to the table. He's a bland, generic governor with good hair and skeletons in his closet. Is boring. Not everything is that deep, man. No one cares about Newsom per se. Just the idea that the largest lefty content creator can't say, of course I'll vote for the Democrat, is going to make people wonder about his priorities. I think it's fine not to pledge an unconditional vote to a politician who hasn't even announced that they're running in the presidential primaries that are still 2 years away. I think it'd probably be good if the largest leftist content creator would stop pushing the bullshit both sides of the same narrative in a midterm year and maybe galvanize a big audience into taking electoral action. I think he's actually doing an important service to the party by making it clear early on that Newsom would carry a lot of baggage as a candidate in the form of deep distrust and skepticism within the progressive base, which in some ways needs to be addressed if he's going to run. You can be mad about it, but he's acting as a mouthpiece for a very commonly held sentiment within a core constituency of the Democratic base, not actively shaping it. Whether Newsom wants to mollify those concerns or plan around them is up to him, but you can't just ignore it. Yeah, I agree, man. Why would he try to help his audience make grounded, responsible decisions when instead he could further inflame the delusions by saying stuff like every Democrat would shoot all trans folks in the head if it meant getting one more vote, Lamau? You're not engaging with anything I'm talking about, so I'm just going to opt out now. Exactly. They never have this. They never want to have an argument. They never want to have an honest conversation. They just want to fucking move the needle in a million different directions and be like, Hassan bad, Hassan bad, Hassan bad. This is not going to address the real issues that you have in terms of advancing a successful campaign. Okay? You can think I am singularly responsible for hypnotizing the fucking masses away from voting for the Democratic Party like a fucking moron, or you can recognize that I'm simply a vehicle for that enmity, okay? I am simply a mouthpiece for that anger and that very real resentment that people experience. And it's not just the progressive base either. It's not just the progressive base either.
He doesn't care.
Because it's hypothetical, bro. Liberals are so fucking comfy. They are spending their time under fascism to ponder on realities that don't exist. I know. We still obviously don't like Trump. A lot of Americans don't like Trump. But people forgot how frustrating it was for millions of people with no sense of reality to feel so emboldened in this way.
What is happening in terms of, look, you say you care about law enforcement resources being put into this because of these serious
That's the worst angle. Who gives a fuck about cops, man? Oh my God.
A productive, good
These
life
are people. They're black people too. Like, you're a black woman. You are the daughter of immigrants. They are trying to incite a race riot against black immigrants.
The other day,
please, who gives a fuck about the police resources?
This is not new. This is not new in terms of these tropes.
Yeah, I guess I hit the hard B on that again. And people, now that this clip is resurfaced, I'm sure people will refuse to understand the point that I'm making and will get mad at the aesthetics once again. This was my criticism to Kamala Harris and the way she was addressing the Haitians are eating cats and dogs narrative. Okay? Bringing up the fact that like back when Republicans were in charge, it was unimaginably frustrating for every single American to constantly hear the dumbest morons chirping over and over and over again. Like, it's so stupid. I was saying, like, remind people of that. Remind people of how annoyed they were at the stupidity of the Republican Party. The Haitians are eating the dogs. Aren't you eating babies, bro? Lamau? Yes. Pied Piper law? Yes, I'm eating babies, dude.
About the illegal nature of what ICE is doing when he platformed Ben Shapiro. And so to put the burden of this on Hassan, who's saying, I'm not going to settle for a fascist collaborator who always is reaching to platform fascists. And
that also struck me as insane. On this stream, you cover politics, go to protests, talk to politicians, etc., while these lib streamers have debates about a hypothetical election between Hassan Piker and Ben Shapiro, or what if Epstein was a Democrat, or ethical incest and ethical CP, right? That's what they fucking talk about endlessly, and it's very frustrating. And then they go, Hassan doesn't care about any of this shit because he's rich, and then dumb fucks eat it up. I mean, I responded to one of those dumb fucks. Hold on. Where is it? I do want to point this out. Yeah, there's this like terminally online take that people love advancing over and over again, which was, Hassan Piker is a very rich man from a very rich family. He lives in a mansion and drives expensive cars and makes millions of dollars a year for Jeff Bezos. So obviously all leftists need to listen to him when he says not to vote for the Democrats. I said, yes, between me and Gavin Newsom, I'm the one who's compromised by the super wealthy and their interests. Like, what are you saying? This is unironically the strike breaker narratives that you hear from reactionaries where they go, oh, these workers have far too much and they're jealous. They are lazy. They want more. Whenever there's like a work stoppage that takes place, there's this weird reactionary tendency among the masses to go, why the fuck are they stopping work? Are they lazy? Not realizing that you're just fucking defending the wealthy bosses in that situation by shitting on the people that have the same class interest as you. Motherfucker, Gavin Newsom is infinitely wealthier than me. What are you talking about? And not only is he infinitely wealthier than me, he's also representing the interests of the fucking billionaires when he stands in opposition to a billionaire wealth tax. What is this conversation? He's not even a good candidate. I haven't even been able to address why he's not a good candidate for even the moderates, because he has that stink associated with, Hassan Moneybags. Why would Hassan Piker say this? Hakeem Jeffries is telling Democrats not to protest Trump during his State of the Union address. According to Axios, he needs to go. It's so strange. It's so fucking strange. It's not even just about like whether Gavin would be better marginally than like a Republican on trans issues, because he probably would be. Like, he would be. But it's the fact that he's trying to write out trans people from the conversation to begin with when he doesn't have to do that at all.
And find common ground with them. It's just intellectually dishonest, because Hassan has a record of standing up for trans people. And when Gavin Newsom did that with Charlie Kirk, that pain was felt through the trans community far and wide. And Pete Buttigieg did the same. And Rahm Emanuel came on my podcast and did the same. And so to say that Hassan doesn't care about marginalized groups is completely disingenuous, because what he's saying is, I'm not buying the lie that Gavin Newsom does. I'm not buying that anymore, because each time I do, or each time we do, it incubates a more and more fascist culture. Here's the part of the video that they cut out that I think provides incredible context for the remainder of our conversation. Pop this up, Kylie. Enthusiastically crawl through 10 feet of concrete for all of the marginalized people.
Do you feel like the Democrats know that, and that's why they get away with their ineptitude?
100%.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
so 100%. I'm like,
okay, pause right there.
I don't even.
So Hassan clocked me right there, and I'll own it, because my politics are open-minded. They're not fixed. I don't play nanny boo-boo politics that, oh my God, you said you would vote third party, therefore you must be canceled. Number one, Hassan's not a politician. Number two, Hassan gets to think whatever he thinks. Number three, there is a large growing number of Americans in Gen Z and as millennials that have felt completely unseen and left behind by the two-party political system, who hate and despise how much they suck up to corporations who see the moral duplicity in a Hakeem Jeffries, a Gavin Newsom, a Chuck Schumer, a Cory Booker, who take money from the MAGA corporate donors and also take it from them. And so when Hassan said that to me, do you think the Democrats know that and take your vote for granted? And I said 100%. He's right, because they do, because I have this red state trauma. So I end up thinking, okay, I'm going to do a harm reduction vote. The reason why this conversation is so important, listener, is because we have time right now to have these conversations and to move our politicians to a progressive populist platform. We have the opportunity right now to rid ourselves.
Michael from Pennsylvania had a good take on this. We shouldn't say we are not going to vote for him, that he's unelectable. He is. He is. But I'll stick my neck out to say, like, if I'm representative of such a viable constituency that you need to secure the votes of, I'll fucking stick my neck out. I don't care. I'll stick my fucking neck out. I'll talk the way that they want to. I'll talk the language that they want to hear. Okay. They can try and use that as a way to like negatively polarize against myself and people like myself and the community that I represent. But like, you know, you have to listen to us. Like, it's ridiculous. We're all in this together. If you hate the Republicans and you want to make this electoral calculation, if you think you can win without us, well, Kamala Harris tried that and fucking lost. And it's ironic because there are plenty of people who didn't fucking vote third party. You know what I mean? Even if all the third-party voters turned around and voted for Kamala Harris, she still would have lost. She still would have lost. So it turns out there's a much larger coalition of voters out there that aren't like super woke or anything like that, but simply choose not to because they're like, this doesn't fucking bother me. Who cares? I can't do anything about it. Bro, this loser can't help herself. I think I broke him. This is my regime-pilled goat, Stacey K, right? It's so funny. These people say like, oh, your dad's favorite comedian, but like, are they funny? Is she funny at all? I've never heard her make a joke, you know? Like they constantly run around being like, oh, noticing there's been considerably less pushback in the chat since Jen started speaking. Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and act as though it's not more valuable, nice bathroom, to hear from a Southern blonde woman saying the exact same things that I'm saying. It is, okay? It is what it is. I'm not going to fucking sit here and posture, okay? I'm not going to sit here and posture and be like, man, you guys don't listen to me. Who cares? It is what it is. You know, you work with whatever you can. Democrats literally stripped out the provision in the one big beautiful bill that would have banned Medicaid coverage for gender affirming care. They stripped out all the anti-trans provisions in the appropriations bill that just passed, as Eric Michael Garcia, DC bureau chief of The Independent, MS Now News columnist. Democrats moved significantly to the center on immigration last year on Minneapolis, but one of the few areas they didn't pivot was trans people. Just wait. So the issue here, for the record, the issue here is that a lot of these guys will inevitably come to our side. The problem is they're not coming to our side fast enough. And I'm glad, and I will take the help of any single person like Jen who says, you know what, I was wrong about this stuff. I think we should be demanding more. Sick of people using trans people like me as a football. Yeah, I know. As a trans person, Democrats' failure to win elections is why these past 2 years have had me give out more DIY HRT resources to people who can't access it. The Democrats give a shit about us, they would win elections. Thank you. Exactly my point. Exactly my point. The biggest failure of the Democrats is the pivot to moderation. That's my biggest argument against the establishment Democrats, because their endless pivot to this like reasonable center is the reason why Republicans keep fucking winning. Just have some backbone, have some decency, have some courage. Advocate for the positions that you actually stand on. You know, her strength is she's got is making these libs listen to her. Your strength is making doom-pilled young men listen to you. We just got to be grateful we have both of you. Exactly. We all have our own lane that we occupy, right?
Primaries of corporate Democrats who lie to us and use our votes and take advantage of our votes and our compassion for
all the libs on Threads are talking shit about you. I know. What they fail to understand is I might look like I am an island alone in the internet discourse, but there is a reason why I have this sizable audience that I have. There's a reason why so many of the other like left adjacent, otherwise liberal content creators like Midas Touch or Pod Save America also command the interests of massive audiences, because they have realized that the momentum and the real grassroots support is on the side of people like ourselves, even in the base of the Democratic Party's voter base, right? The Democratic Party's base of support has also absolutely shifted in this direction. So a lot of these guys are simply yelling at an audience that is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay? This is unfortunately another cycle of the internet is not real life. But the reason why I'm actively fighting back right now is because these sentiments are going to calcify once again. And I want to get those guys who are chirping at me, who are chirping at like the supposed left spoiler position, all this shit, to stop doing this, because I don't want to lose to the Republicans again. Okay? And a lot of these people feel emboldened when they don't get any pushback for these fucking stupid takes. So we have to fucking tell them that they're wrong. Just help them address why the Democratic Party approval ratings are so poor right now when it's the opposition party. Just ask that question. They have no answer for it. I have an answer for it. They don't. Every single liberal content creator that wants to get a fucking check from the DNC that is currently punching left actively, ask them why the National Democratic Party's approval ratings are in the shitter. That's it. Ask them if they like Zohran Mamdani. Ask them if they think that a Zohran Mamdani-like candidacy would be bad. Libs, vote for Gavin. What's his platform? What do you mean? What's he offering? Fuck you, selfish prick. My friends are being killed by ICE. How the fuck dare you make demands? Oh, sorry. Is Gavin anti-ICE? No, he wants to triple their budget. No new funding. Christy No must resign. What do you mean no new funding? Cut the funding. Abolish ICE. This is what you should be advocating for. No new funding is a cowardly way to reform ICE. Okay? I like that people present that no new funding as like this strong opposition to ICE. Get the fuck out of here. This is what people mean when they talk about the ratchet effect on U.S. politics and the Democrats and Dem media's role in moving the country to the right. Trump triples DHS budget, and this becomes the new consensus baseline for both parties with zero movement in the other direction. It is objectively unserious that the liberal consensus feigns outrage at Trump's DHS abuses but never broaches, much less demands, their funding return to at least 2024 levels, e.g. reduced by 66%. Body cams and redundant laws do nothing but change the fundamental incentives. Do nothing to change the fundamental incentives. Yeah, 90% of the libs in your replies were anti-Zohran all of last year until he won. Exactly. They have no shame. They're not vote blue no matter who. They literally think that like a centrist Democrat must win all the time so that they can feel like their priors have been confirmed. That's all this is. Oh, it's so frustrating to have these fucking conversations all the time.
Marginalized groups and use them to their advantage to then curry favor with corporations and then go make massive stock exchange trades while in Congress. Okay, continue with that clip.
Even entertain that stuff, especially this far out from an election. But even in the primary season, that's immediately the conversation is like, well, whoever is the candidate, you're going to vote for them, right? And you know what's really indecent about that too? They never return the favor for left flank candidates.
Yeah, no.
Because no one ever made hay about Bernie Sanders potentially becoming the candidate and all of the articles that came out about how Trump might be more preferable to Bernie Sanders. Because they were writing those. Liberals were writing those articles talking about how, the head of Goldman Sachs, who was like, I'm a lifetime Democratic Party voter. I think, Donald Trump is better than Bernie Sanders.
I know.
So I just think this is a super important conversation to have. And if you have people on the left that are shutting this down, they are failing to do a proper autopsy. We know that Ken Martin at the DNC spiked the autopsy as to why we lost. He spiked it. I suspect that in that autopsy as to why Kamala lost is because the Democrats refuse to listen to voices like this. And I am willing to go into these conversations with Hassan and get owned. Do you think the Democrats know that you're always going to do that and take advantage of your vote? Yes, I do. I do think that. Anytime you have a political party or a political movement that is shutting down this type of conversation, when we lost 2 elections to a complete dipshit, an incompetent con man, and we can't have the conversation with the progressive flank of our party that Bernie Sanders created a movement and it continues to permeate through the Democratic Party.
Yeah, it was an MSNBC host who famously said if Bernie Sanders won, that they would do mass executions in Central Park.
So much so that you see progressives winning right now. Zoran Mom.
Kaivan, who worked for Hillary in 2016, has knocked off the left since, posted after he voted that he ranked Cuomo number 1 in the mayoral primary and that leftists didn't actually know what was coming, and then deleted it after Zoran won. Yeah. Early voted in New York City, Andrew Cuomo, Adrian Adams, Brad Lander, Whitney Tilson, Zollner Myrie. Roast me if you want, but just because people are afraid to tweet how they voted doesn't mean they didn't vote that way too. Don't be too surprised about the outcome. Yeah. Can we move on from these left-wing creators that have built a business just on hating Democrats? They help nothing. They help nobody but themselves. That's it. These guys are fucking not only irrelevant, they're unpopular. 1/3 wow, the next day after what you said is even more important. I know. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this in a second. I already posted about this on my Twitter as well. Once this part of the segment is over.
Donnie. And when you look at all of the issues that Zoran won on, line item by line item by line item, and you take them out of being progressive, conservative, Democrat, Republican, they're all super popular policies. So this Democratic establishment that Hassan is speaking out so much against they don't want people to know that. So I have a really hard time with the liberals online right now trying to shut this conversation down and deny Hassan his opinion or browbeat Hassan from here to Timbuktu because he is pointing out a conversation that we need to have. And I think the reason Kamala lost, because nobody wanted to get off their couch that was super progressive because they feel like both parties are the same, because they're not lazy corporate news voters that just takes what MSNBC says and takes what CNN says and then goes out and votes. They have dug deeper. These are very high information voters that go, now, wait a minute. AIPAC spent $200-something million to get Trump elected. It's clear Benjamin Netanyahu wants him elected. Kamala is taking money from the same PAC, really isn't talking about this genocide and the blank check to Israel. I see this as a continuation as more of the same with it being slightly rebranded. And I just think it's very MAGA-esque to shut down a conversation like that with Hassan and me and to take a side on that and not understand that.
It's blue and on. It's blue and on. It's blue MAGA.
Hassan and I were having a super important conversation that should be front and center of every Democratic conversation right now.
Yeah, this too. This is exactly right. Normie Dems and leftists share way more in common to the corporate centrists who maintain their power by making us believe the opposite is true. This person posted the classic, like, cringe Maoist LARPer. Have you considered the economic anxiety of those poor Trump voters? Nicole, suburban mom, a successful corporate lawyer. Every Republican is an affront to God. To which I said, even attendance at a No Kings rally will instantly help you cringe Twitter liberals realize that the suburban mom and the Maoists both despise the Republican Party more than the consultant moderation demanding Democratic Party boosters do. I'm out there. I see it. I see the anger. I see the resentment. That's why it's not confusing to me when I see the Democratic Party's unpopularity, because they've lost their own fucking base. It's that simple. Okay? They have lost their own base of support. Sean Vid says, I promise right now, years away from an election, to vote for an awful shitbag bigot because he isn't the other guy. Shut the fuck up. You are making things worse. Your vote is weight outside of election day. Regardless of how you end up voting, until then, you can bargain with it. The lesser evils are watching you. If you promise your vote for nothing, you'll get nothing. Say you won't vote for a bad candidate. Say you'll only vote for policies you like. That's it. That's why I don't mind sticking my neck out and saying I'm not voting for Gavin Newsom. Unless Gavin Newsom becomes this fucking radical advocate for Medicare for all of a sudden and can actually convince people like myself. It's that simple. Bro, I had people on threads and Twitter tell me Blue MAGA is a racist dog whistle. I don't understand how people eat the booze so easily. You don't need to have a conversation with those people. Let's be real. Whenever people hit the identity politics button over and over again to be like, oh, you, sir, are actually a racist. You hate black people. You hate brown people. You hate ICE. You hate you hate ICE, sorry. You love ICE. You hate trans people. You don't really have to have a conversation with them. You could just be like, did this policy work in 2016? Did this work in 2016? Fuck you, Hassan, you dumb moron. Nothing, by the way, nothing makes centrist liberals more mad than seeing someone like myself succeed in this media ecosystem. Nothing. I mean, they literally have developed so much hatred for everything that I represent as a spokesperson for a very real constituency. Nothing pisses them off more than seeing their favorite Democrats come and talk to me. Nothing pisses them off more than when people that I love, that people whose policies that I ride for end up winning, and then they have to sit there and act like they were there all along. They fucking have so much anger. It's awesome. It's fucking awesome. They are preying on my fucking downfall every damn day of the week. Very important. Me when it's ICE in the USA versus me when it's USA on ICE. Are you turning into Charlie Kirk then, Blau? Is that what you're saying?
Head into midterms. How do we build a majority party that services the most people without throwing any groups under the bus and doesn't prioritize servicing corporations? And that's what he's saying. And I'm okay with us being at the end of the day that Hassan might.
Yeah, it's all people going, if Hassan criticized Republicans half as much as he criticized Dems, he would actually be worth listening to. That's so funny. Just say you don't actually listen to anything that I'm saying. Okay? Just say that you have never actually tuned into a fucking broadcast, because if you did, you would know that I rail against the Republicans all the fucking time. And the only reason why I rail against the Democrats is because of their closeness to the Republicans for some hypothetical, mystical, moderate voter that doesn't actually fucking exist. That's the point. They have no answer for why. Bernie Sanders is far more popular than Kamala Harris. They have no answer for why Zoran Mamdani is one of the most nationally popular politicians in the country, in spite of all of the Republican attacks that he receives. The far left won't win the Dems in the election. They're too radical. The far left wants free healthcare for everyone, higher tax for the top 1%, well-funded schools and free colleges, LGBTQ plus people to be seen as human, immigrants to be seen as human, no more Holocaust. These guys are so silly. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to talk about this in a second. I'm going to talk about this analysis in a second. Soy Pill says, yes, because trans people, Latinos, and every other marginalized group is going to be worse off if a Republican wins. These people can only imagine a world where marginalized people are in a perpetual state of torment, saddled between both parties, bad and worse. We need to have a very real conversation that the continual offering of this false choice is, in and of itself, bigoted. We are 2 years out, and you are not even able to imagine a good candidate for the Democratic Party perfectly demonstrates why normal working-class marginalized people feel so disenfranchised. Exactly. And then they turn around and fucking say, why? Why are these people not voting for us? Then they start trying to fucking yell about black men. Black men are not voting for the Democrats. What the fuck's going on? It's like, first of all, that's a ridiculous position to have, because black voters are so reliable in terms of voting for the Democratic Party. Even if you were to think that the Democratic Party is like, voting for the Democrats is the most righteous moment of civil rights activism that you can engage in, which I don't believe, right?
Person that sits on the couch, and I might be the person that goes and votes for the corporate Dem. And I'm still evolving on that. And I have to keep an open mind about it. But more than anything, Hassan and I are online personalities. We are not politicians. And we both get to have our opinions about this. And we get to succinctly disagree or push each other and evolve. But when I see liberals or people in the Democratic Party trying to completely shut him down and shut down this conversation, it feels very cultist to me. It feels the opposite of what a progressive movement, a resistant movement to fascism should be. And then Kylie, put up the tweet and the graph about where the Democrats are right now. Okay, Hassan says, liberal Twitter has erupted, demanding party loyalty, hitting lesser evilism and harm reduction lines 2 years out from the presidential election. But they refuse to reckon with this historic unpopularity for the Dems, as Trump is deeply unpopular. Hold your electeds accountable, please. So here we have the Democratic Party. The favorability is 33%, historic lows. And what Hassan is saying is, why do I, as a voter, why did this large voting group, why do we have to concede? Why aren't the politicians conceding that corporations are not in the best interest of the people? And the people in the Democratic Party that are trying to shut this down, all you're doing is giving his platform more power. Because when I see the Democratic establishment behave this way, in a cult-like way, to say that we can't have an honest conversation about this, it makes me really lean into what Hassan is saying and dive into it more and more, because oftentimes progressives are just, they're just right way too early. And so if you think about where Bernie Sanders was in 2016, he was right. His message has aged far better. I didn't buy it at the time. I thought, oh, Bernie's crazy. He can't win an election. The fact of the matter is, he probably would have beaten Trump. And where would we be now if we would stop listening to corporate Dems and the personalities that prop up this? We have to be a fixed party that
I see you get dumb hate all the time, but never did I expect it to be you about promoting democracy. No, that is at the heart of this issue. A lot of the blue anon voters, the blue MAGA voters, demand party loyalty and don't want accountability and don't want to extract concessions from their elected representatives, which is inherently undemocratic. They take advantage of the two-party system to say, you got to vote for us, my way or the fucking highway. You got to vote for these guys instead. Even if I don't like them, look at me. Look at how moral I am. I'm holding my nose and voting for the shit candidate. Okay, well, other people don't make that decision and don't go out and fucking vote. That's why the Democrats keep losing, and that's why the Republicans keep fucking winning. I'm tired of it. I don't want the Republicans to win. I think it's fucking ridiculous that they keep winning. I know why they keep winning. It's because Democrats have no fucking backbone, have no investment in defending anything at all. They concede on everything for no fucking reason. And then they spend more time trying to sell you why they actually have to do these concessions rather than advocate for the opposition.
Serves this two-party system, and we cannot push our elected officials to service the American people more. So I just wanted to respond to all of this and say that me as a voter and as an online commentator, I'm going to continue to have these conversations. And the more the Democratic Party tells people to shut up, the more I realize how rigged the whole thing is. And then I end up going further and further left. Every Democratic politician should be shutting down corporate money. Every Democratic politician should be going on shows like mine, and especially shows like Hassan's, because that's where the people didn't show up, because they are tired of being lied to by Democrats.
Hell yeah. That's why primaries are so important. When you need to weed out the corporate Dems, it boils down to corporate money. Ban that. That's why candidate vetting and research in primaries is so important. Are we a resistance party or just another cult under the blue banner? I have felt for years that the establishment Dems have just been bought as the GOP, and deny that is to have your head in the sand as a MAGAT. I totally agree with Hassan that we need an FDR representative at this moment in time who is willing to go the extra mile to include everyone in their policies. In addition, I want America to walk the walk when it comes to equality. Look at that. People don't have any answer for this. They think, oh, everybody hates. They think, oh no, everybody just hates the Republicans and they're going to be fine with eating whatever corporate-backed establishment Democrat slop that we fucking present. That's not going to happen. That hasn't happened. And even when it does sometimes happen with Joe Biden, for example, when everybody, myself included, plugged their nose and fucking voted because we wanted to get Trump out of office. Look where that brought us. It brought us to Trump too. It brought us to concentration camps. It brought us to ICE. It's utterly ridiculous. We cannot do return to normalcy politics, okay? Yeah, according to Twitter Libs, Hakeem Jeffries has the same position as you. Exactly. No, but when Hakeem Jeffries says it, he says it with Riz. So I understand why liberals are like enamored with Hakeem Jeffries saying like you shouldn't protest against Donald Trump. Okay? There was another thing that I wanted to mention here, obviously, which is this part of the conversation. Harry Emden. At an all-time high, 58% of voters say the Dem Party is too liberal. This comes as 1 in 3 Democrats think of themselves as democratic socialists. And the percentage of Dems who say they're very liberal has quadrupled since 1999. New Jersey 11, New York City Mayor, and Bernie Sanders are no aberration.
From that special election, that Democratic primary.
I have a criticism of this, and I'll talk about what this means for the future of politics in this country. But I do have a criticism of this that I have consistently talked about. Holy Toledo time.
New Jersey speak to a larger point within the Democratic Party, and that is that the far left is significantly more powerful than they once were. This sort of gives the game away here. Democrats who identify as very liberal or conservative. You know, there used to be a lot of conservative Democrats, right? Back in 1999, 26% of Democrats self-identified as conservative. Just 5% said that they were very liberal. It was a smidgen, a smidgen, a smidgen. Now that far left has gained considerably in power. Look at this. Now we're talking about a fifth of Democrats. 21% say they're very liberal. That conservative part of the Democratic Party, adios amigos, goodbye, just 8%. And when you combine the 21% who are very liberal with those who say that they're somewhat liberal, we're talking about 3 in 5 Democrats who identify as either somewhat liberal or very liberal, with the very liberals, but much larger portion of the party. The far left, which used to just be a smidgen within the Democratic Party, has gained considerable power, as you saw in New Jersey's 11th district.
What about Democratic socialists, like the likes of, you've got Bernie Sanders or Zoran Mandani here in New York City? Where does that line up?
Okay, so on a separate question where you essentially, CNN asked this last year, which was, okay, Democrats who think of themselves as democratic socialists, among all Democrats, including those independents who lean towards the Democratic Party, look at this. We're talking about a third of all Democrats who identify as democratic socialists. Bernie Sanders and Zoran Mandani are not alone. They are a considerable part of the Democratic base at this point. And more than that, if you look at Democrats under the age of 35, they are nearly half of the Democratic Party. Look at this. 42% of Democrats think of themselves as democratic socialists under the age of 35, just like Zoran Mandani. What happened in New York City is not some aberration, right? It is not something that just happened in New York City. It is something that we are seeing grow within the Democratic Party at this particular point, when we're talking about 42% of Democrats under the age of 35 identifying as democratic socialists, and a third of all Democrats. My goodness gracious.
So if the ideology of the Democratic Party is shifting or changing.
20% very liberal, 33% Dem socialist. American polling is so dumb. Yes. It is very dumb. And that is because in the United States of America, liberalism is seen as the left flank position. Whereas in the rest of the world, even including in fucking Canada, for example, and certainly in Europe and all the other OECD nations, liberalism is not actually a leftist ideology. The U.S. is the only country where the entire left base is bracketed under liberalism, a right-wing/center-right ideology in virtually every other OECD nation. Given the rise of socialism, it would be wise to start using the better terminology. And that is by design, for the record. Before people say, well, in Canada, that's not the case. Yes, it is. NDP is the actual left position party. And there's certainly in the parliamentary structure further left positions as well. It's insane and leads to, Carl Bayer says, it's insane and leads to hilarious internal logic problems in the polls. Like they'll ask, are you a socialist or a liberal? But then crosstabs will break the answers down into liberal, indie, and conservative. So you'll have tons of I'm not a liberal and answers under liberal. And for the record, I'm not saying that like if this change were to take place, that like most people would self-identify as socialists and a lot would not self-identify as liberals or anything like that. I still think my theory is that given the lack of political education on this, given the lack of ideological delineation on this, there are still plenty of people who would be sympathetic to socialism or socialist policy making that still self-identify as liberals. It would take years and years for people to finally come to that conclusion that maybe they're not actually fucking liberals after all. But I'm still willing to segment it appropriately because it's important to do that. It's important to fucking bracket these different ideological tendencies because they are different from one another. And yes, the reality of the matter is there is a far bigger ideological difference between liberalism and socialism than there is between fascism and Republicans who are also technically liberals, right? Most people in America don't understand this, though. But I would say that even the fact that we're having this conversation and many people understand what I'm saying when we're having this conversation is a good thing. It means that the political evolution and the forcible education of a lot of people is here. Okay? The time is now. That's why I get very frustrated whenever people come to me, whenever people write articles about me, like liberal mainstream press, whenever they write articles about me, they'll be like, very liberal Hassan. This is the only thing that Hassan and Iglesias agree on. It's so unfortunate that the United States is stuck with this vocabulary where socialist and very liberal roughly mean the same thing. Wish we would all rediscover the terminology where liberalism has distinct meaning and its own varietals, and socialism is a different thing. I agree. This use of liberal to describe more left-wing Democrats is getting increasingly unhelpful because actual left-wing Democrats self-describe as progressive or even socialist, so no one actually thinks more liberal describes them. Hassan is mostly just upset because his great strategic efforts of reminding everyone that both sides are bad, so vote third party have somehow not led to this label getting more traction. Yeah, that's what it is, guy who blocked me and probably has a normal opinion about what I fucking represent. Hassan calling liberalism a right-wing/center-right ideology is absolutely delusional, though. It's not. It is a right-wing, center-right ideology in every other fucking country because it's not an ideology that revolves around social policies. It's an ideology that revolves around the economy, okay? Economic policies. That's the reason why it's a center-right ideology. That's what it is. It's just factually accurate. And these guys would rather fucking go, la, 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 I can't hear you. Liberalism, historically, in political theory, and in contemporary society, certainly, is considered a right-wing or center-right economic ideology, okay? That's it. It's about freeing the markets. It's so fucking stupid. I hate having a conversation with dumb American chuds who fancy themselves to be much more intelligent than the MAGA Republicans that they lord over, and yet they have the political education of those same fucking chuds. They literally do, and they go, la, 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 I can't fucking hear you. Yes, the Democratic Party is technically a Big Tent party for this reason, because in America, you just have liberals and Republicans. That's how they see it. That's why liberal Democrats in the UK are seen as a center-right party. Yeah, you should do what Hasanabi suggested. Exactly. Hassan needs to actually start saying he'd vote for J.D. Vance so these brain-dead morons decide they need to win his vote as a conservative. Yeah. I don't want to vote for Gavin Newsom because he's too liberal. I want a real conservative. If you want to win my vote, I'm a MAGA conservative. You have to win my vote now. All of a sudden, you have to pay attention to me. Dems being center to center right is literally taught in any world studies class I've ever taken, whether it's politics, sociology, or history. I learned that in my world government class when I was 15. What ideology is center left? Social democracy and labor capitalism. Labor parties, social democratic parties, self-described social democratic parties. That is a center-left ideology. Communists, socialists, and democratic socialists, to varying degrees, are seen as the actual left party. That's just the reality. Trade unionism, communism, and socialism is the actual left position. Anti-capitalism normally begins as the starting point of the left position. Obviously, as capitalism is calcified in Western liberal democracies, you have to look at it. You have to look at every case individually. But that is the reality. Wow, we doing poli-sci international relations 101 now? Yes, I have to. Someone, not me, might say in response to moderates are a bigger demographic. Self-described moderates in a political education environment like the one that I just described, where people don't even know anything about what their real, true ideological positions are, where they just like, if they are even invested in political participation at all, where they bracket themselves as like either Democrat or Republican, is idiotic. That's the reason why all of these fucking polls are so inconsistent. Harry Endon talking right here shows that inconsistency. How is this hard to comprehend? He's literally saying that you know, Democrats are self-identifying as like democratic socialists. The self-described moderates, if you ever talk to them and ask like, would you like free health care? You already pay a shit ton in premiums. Would you like a system where you pay less in taxes overall and then get free health care unconditionally without having to call up, you know, your insurance provider? Would say, fuck yes. Now, is that a moderate position? It reads as a moderate position on the polls. A guy who would say they're a moderate would say yes to that. How do you deal with that? If you ask a centrist Democrat, they'll say that is the most radical position of all time, right? Centrist think tankoids want you to believe people thought Harris was too liberal because people love private health insurance and the military industrial complex, and what they likely mean is black lady from California is purposely misleading. Exactly. This is a meaningless and inscrutable poll without defining what too liberal means. It can mean too right wing, too left wing, too woke on social issues, etc. All this is working to do is manufacture consent to be even more conservative. That's exactly what it is. The party that did this in Canada is not the Liberal Party because the libs are center right.
Every day, Maurice Trihook visits his wife at Golden Door Geriatric Center. His only previous indication the personal care home might close, some beds were empty.
When I first was approached about coming here, it was a matter of waiting for months. And now I go over here and I see vacancies. Well, it doesn't add up.
Now he knows that last year, the owners informed the province they would close the...
That's not always true, dude. What? Liberals in Canada were center left under Trudeau? I know, man. I know. Depending on... That's why I said it's situational, because capitalism is so pervasive and so dogmatic and has become the inscrutable hegemony. It is so firmly the monoculture that that's why I said it's case by case. Okay? It shifts. Sometimes the liberal Democrats might come across like the center-left party, depending on how conservative the government actually is. You may Philip DeFranco again with this topic.
ISIS finally getting out of Minnesota.
ISIS is true. ISIS is getting out of Minnesota.
Point difference. But also when it comes to real potential matchups for 2028, we should talk about this backlash and controversy, because we're going to see this play out. And one of the most recent ways it has is you have tons of people slamming political commentator Hassan Piker for how he might be voting. Right? Because on a recent appearance on Jennifer Welch's I've Had It podcast, she brought up some hypothetical presidential tickets.
Let's say that Gavin Newsom becomes the nominee, that we make it midterms.
Devastating.
Do you vote for him over J.D. Vance?
I don't know.
Well, I'd have to vote for Gavin Newsom,
Me
of
too.
course, 100%.
I wouldn't blink. What about you, Hassan?
I'd probably vote third party.
You would?
Oh, yeah. I mean, at that point, it doesn't even matter. Like, because my policy on this is the same as, like, my refusal to endorse Kamala Harris. The reason why I did not endorse Kamala Harris was because she did things that were not only unproductive, but also unconscionable.
And that, it prompted a ton of outrage and a lot of, are you fucking kidding me? With a lot of people thinking that Hassan shouldn't be encouraging third-party votes to his massive following, and some saying things like, insanely irresponsible take, given the harm this administration has unleashed just 1 year in. As well as, can we move on from these left-wing creators that...
Yeah, Hillary Clinton's staffer, once again, that openly said he didn't vote for Zohran Mamdani.
Have built a business on just hating Democrats. It helps nobody but themselves. You also had tons of people accusing Hassan of being a grifter, arguing that he, quote, wants Republicans in office because he gets to cosplay a revolutionary, which raises his profile and makes him more money. And then separately from takes on Hassan, you had some pushing back on criticisms of Gavin Newsom. We're saying, I live in California, my gay friends have basic rights, my girlfriend can access reproductive care, and we've raised the minimum.
Of course, Philip is going to cook me on this, because he is, you know, when the cards fall, he will be he will be a professional misunderstander as well. Once again, Philip, I mean, we talk all the time privately. I like Philip DeFranco. I'd love to have this conversation with you. I think it would be a productive conversation.
Wage for service workers. Spare me the disingenuous bullshit. But then as far as Hassan, he's defended himself in a series of posts saying, do you want free healthcare? Do you want free college? Do you want to stop Israel? I'll vote for anyone who sincerely believes in making that happen. And adding, I never said JD Vance is better than Newsom. You want to believe I said that because you can't comprehend a world where democracy implies asking for concessions from your elected representatives before doing loyalty pledges to them like a happy serf. With Hassan then saying, shit libs who don't care about losing to Trump now want you to obey in advance to their hypothetical establishment candidate while there isn't even a guarantee there will be an election 2 years from now, using marginalized people as a cudgel as Gavin threw trans people under the bus. And while he had his supporters, you also had a number of people pushing back at that response, saying things like, no one is asking anyone to obey in advance, so please come
like John Fetterman's staffer, who only recently left John Fetterman,
down off the cross. Your fellow panelists recognize the material difference for marginalized communities between a hypothetical Democrat and Republican administration. You repeatedly use your large audience to flatten the difference, and it's abject nonsense. And some others also taking issue with how he framed Newsom's stance on trans rights. With one person saying, actual trans person here, Gavin Newsom made a comment about trans athletes that I don't agree with, but California is still one of the best places to be trans in the country. See the difference? You don't care about what happens to us, so stop acting like you speak for us. Now with all this, you actually had Jennifer Welch ending up posting a video in his defense claiming
what Hassan is saying is we need to build a party that has an FDR style impact that really, really impacts the lives of people instead of this slow moving incremental change that the current Democratic Party always proposes. Number one, Hassan's not a politician. Number two, Hassan gets to think whatever he thinks. Number three, there is a large growing number of Americans in Gen Z and as millennials that have felt completely unseen and left behind by the two-party political system, who hate and despise how much they suck up to corporations. We have time right now to have these conversations and to move our politicians to a progressive populist platform.
With Welch even going so far as to say one of the reasons that Democrats lose is because they do not listen to voices like Hassan Piker. So it's also worth noting that during the podcast, Hassan did preempt any potential backlash, claiming that Democrats might lose solely because of him.
I am incapable. There is no singular force in this country that is capable of making or breaking an election. And if that was real, then it is the most idiotic thing not to listen to my demands. But everybody knows that that's not real, right?
You know, with all that said, I would really love to know your thoughts here. Obviously, with any election, whether it be local or national, I think you should weigh the difference between the two people.
I think he did a decent job of showing both sides.
Ideally, I'd love a ranked choice system that brings in more voices, different voices, but that's a whole other video. And then I'm going to vote for the best or least worst of the two top options. That is why I voted for Kamala Harris. Does she represent everything I want in the country? No. But to think or argue that a government and a country led by her versus Donald Trump would be the exact same thing with the exact same things happening, no. But I hope most of us can agree when we look at this last year that this seems to be the way worse option. And I know, this part is separate from the clips that we talked about on today's show, but it is an argument that I've seen just playing out in public. But I also think we need to hash out these disagreements very early on. Right? Handle business disagreements, all the messiness in the primaries, and then when it's one versus one, picking the best and or least worst option. And it's more important than ever if you are in a battleground state, though it really...
Okay, they're not even talking about that stuff yet. But I'm not saying that Kamala Harris would be identical to Donald Trump. And there are certain areas where the Democrats would definitely be identical to Trump. It's, Israel being one of them, or at least they don't shy away from communicating that they would be the same, right? That's what Kamala Harris did. But once again, someone made a comment that Gavin would come on the show if you said you were a conservative law. Exactly. Yeah, that's my real grift, is I'm positioning myself as anti-Gavin Newsom and a conservative MAGA guy so that Gavin Newsom comes on the show so I can grill him on some of his fucking positions. But I do think that we should be having these conversations. Especially now, far away from the actual election. Okay? We should be having these conversations far away from the actual election so that we can nip this shit in the fucking bud. You understand? So when people chirp at me to get clicks or whatever the fuck, you can keep doing that if you want to do that. But I do think that I should have a conversation with like the Midas Touch guys, Pod Johns. I'll go on neutral territory like that to talk to some of these fucking centrist liberals. Like I'll duke it out with Trey Easton, even though he's a irrelevant figure overall. Thank God he closed the Epstein Orbiter vid. That guy's another like pedophilia sex cult member. Is that what it is? You know how I say that there is like you need to be definable by your opinions, by your policies, by what you put out there for the Democrats in general. I feel like for Destiny, or also known as Sex Pestiny, he is definable by having a son who is a neo-Nazi, constantly aligning with white nationalist, white supremacist neo-Nazis, being able to say the N-word and all these other slurs as a white guy, and also on top of that, I guess, being super pro-Israel and procuring child sexual abuse material. Those are his, like, if there was a Zoran style situation here to define Sex Pestiny as, it would be that. Also, here it is. Pisco saying, so you would vote for Trump over Hassan, correct? I would vote for the guy who supported January 6th versus the guy who supported October 7th. Yes. Guy who has positioned himself as being anti-Trump above all else turns around and says, actually, Trump is better than Hassan Piker. If you can't call that Hassan derangement syndrome, not sure what you can call that. Okay? Like, given the opportunity, crazy that people that leave the orbit are able to understand your positions. So far out from a presidential election, I'm not sure. Yeah, this person used to be a Destiny orbiter, now hates Destiny. So far out from a presidential election, I'm not sure how consequential this is outside of signaling your opinion on the dire need for change. This is a strategy to apply pressure as a minority voting bloc that is usually secure for Democrats. Totally understand why mainstream Dem voters and influencers hate it. Concerningly, I see people trying to get smaller coalitions of the periphery in line via bullying like MAGA does. This won't work. Republicans are servile by nature, so yelling at them to fall in line works. Liberals and progressives do not respect authority or value loyalty in the same way, so taking the same approach is doomed to fail. Find a way to get these voters on your side with incentives or move on to another voting bloc. Hand-wringing about the lack of loyalty is a waste of everyone's time. You'll never insult or bully people your way into gaining their vote. You'll only increase their apathy. The irony, of course, is that because I'm so goddamn stubborn, I don't turn around and go, okay, the Democrats lost me as a person who will work for them, as a person who will work with them. Okay? That's just another thing. Like, you can yell at me all day, every day. You can say I'm a MAGA voter or whatever the fuck you want. The reality of the matter is, if I was a MAGA voter, you would probably be sucking my dick right now. Nina Turner also chimed in. You're making a damn dent, but I appreciate that. Gavin Newsom to Charlie Kirk last year while glowing about Kirk. This isn't the person that trusts to fight for marginalized communities.
Literally last night, trying to put my son to bed. He's like, no, Dad, what time? What time's Charlie going to be here? What time? And I'm like, dude, you're in school tomorrow. He's 13. He's like, no. This morning, wakes up at 6 something. He's like, I'm coming. I'm like, he literally would not leave the house.
Did you let him take off school?
No, he did. Of course not. He's not here.
Please explain what hope people see in the Dems. It makes no sense. It's well, for me in particular, the hope that I see, you might consider it naivete, but what I see is opportunity to use the Democratic Party platform to move this country in the right trajectory. Okay? It's not necessarily about like being a diehard Democratic Party loyalist. Not at all. But it's more so to use one of the only two viable mechanisms to our advantage to move the country further left, to make them recognize that they actually are more radical than what the Democrats have led them to believe. Okay? This is what Bernie was able to do as well. This is what the Bernie-crats are doing currently. It's not entryism. It's not entryism. Okay? I know many of you will say this is entryism. Entryism indicates that you can take the bourgeois Democratic Party and turn it into a socialist or working class party. It's not. This is Newsom's Liz Cheney tour. He's from the Bay Area of California, has no authentic connections to moderates, independents, Republicans, disaffected. So he had to do cringe stuff like this to show he's not a big old lib. Exactly. I really thought the Dem supporters would wake up and see they can't reform the system and say they need revolution and revolt. It seems like entryism. The reason why, for the record, the reason why it's not entryism is because, like, I don't want to talk too much about this, but here, I'll fucking say it. All right. This is the opportunity for people to see. Americans, and I constantly have this conversation, but it bears repeating all the time. Americans do not self-identify as socialists, even if they have sympathies towards socialist policies. Okay? Americans have no class consciousness. So in order to even unlock the class consciousness of the American proletariat, you have to use whatever viable electoral machine you have to your advantage. And right now, you have tremendous opportunity. Okay? You have tremendous opportunity with an incredibly weak Democratic Party that has positioned itself whenever they run for office as like little radicals. Oh, yeah, we want socialized medicine. We want better access to healthcare, all this shit. Like, most Americans understand simple terms. Use that to your advantage. Oh, okay. So you want Medicare for all. You want universal policies. You want Medicare for all. Like, this is what it is. It's not about taking over the party in its entirety, but it's about using the party and its platform to unlock the revolutionary potential of the proletariat. That's it. Because it is out there. That's it. Anyway, imagine a world where we have a second FDR and a second New Deal. Imagine how much more open the socialist country would be if they got a second New Deal from someone calling themselves a democratic socialist. Yes. So you see the way, you see the party as a way to educate before a revolution. When does what you're saying become entryism? Entryism is the failed notion, in my opinion, to assume that you can like single-handedly take the bourgeois, liberal, capitalist, democratic party and turn it into a socialist party by slowly but surely entering in these races. I'm not saying that's the end goal. I don't think that can be the end goal. We must always strive for more. Okay? Entryism is unsuccessful because the people that you end up putting in those positions of power end up being molded by the establishment democratic consensus, and they start repeating the positions of the establishment Democrats. Okay? Many people, unfortunately, do not have the ideological discipline to keep pushing beyond what we have, to demand more. That's just the reality of the matter. This is why some of those liberals that fucking constantly yell at me are yelling at me because they've been taught to be fearful of a true left position. Okay? I am a liberal, and now I finally see your true colors. You'll turn me into a Manchurian candidate. Begone, devil spawn. Exactly. But for the time being, getting people to at least drop the unnecessary fear that they have about a left position, about socialism, is what is appropriate, is what is necessary. Okay? Yeah, Gavin Newsom while this shit is blowing up, Gavin Newsom to visit New Hampshire as he eyes presidential run. Gavin Newsom is also going to the Munich Security Conference. Top Democrats eyeing potential 2028 presidential runs hope to use the Munich Security Conference this weekend to burnish their foreign policy credentials, elevate their profiles, and convince an anxious group of European leaders that there is life after President Donald Trump. Who do you think would be my pick here? Come on now. Entryism has failed because it's viewing gradual incremental takeover as the final step necessary, even though it cannot succeed. It can, however, have acute high visibility impact cases like in Zoran or even Bernie had. That with a dual inside-outside strategy to build movement for an outside group to replace is better for sure, and that's why it's more feasible. Yes. So you're saying it's moot to chase the long-term goal of usurping, taking over the Democratic Party from within and converting it to a full-on social party if a viable third-party option doesn't ever rise within our lifetime? There is no viable third-party option right now for a multitude of different reasons, but one of the major reasons is because there is no political education. The very fact that most people have to bracket themselves into self-identifying as liberals, liberalism being the mass political movement, okay, in the United States of America, in the absence of alternatives, where the alternatives are seen as scary, at a time when liberalism is fucking failing. The only option that is the only way to even maintain or create a viable the only way that you can even create a viable third option alternative is by unlocking class consciousness. It's that simple. How can we go about making socialist policies a more populist one in time for 2028? Socialist policies are populist. Hello. Back in the day when there was better political education, even in the United States of America, that was always the counter to socialism was, oh, you just want everything. You want what? What do you want? You want free? You want free everything. You're fucking lazy. Heck yeah, I want free everything. Fuck you. We have the money for it. How do you own a black sweater with a giant dog? Very carefully. The Leninist position in the early aughts of the development of the Communist Party of China was to align with the Kuomintang. The Kuomintang was a reactionary nationalist movement comprised of the bourgeois classes that had no interest whatsoever in changing the previous landed gentry-backed institutional power that was in the hands of the warlords. They were not warlords, but they were totally in line with working with the warlords. At the time, the Communist Party of China had 193 paying members. The Kuomintang, on the other hand, had 60,000. Who runs the People's Republic of China now? There was a lot of resistance internally within the CPC structure as well at the time. But Lenin forced their hands into joining forces with the Kuomintang, at least for a period of time, as they built their movement. Keep Lenin's name out of your mouth. Shut the fuck up. Anyway, you still need the party. You aren't proposing that. You are proposing being a part of the Democrats. You were just wrong theoretically and historically. No, I have a better mechanism of change than you. It wasn't to enter the Kuomintang, brother. Historical illiteracy. You literally didn't. You are incapable of reading between the lines. Okay? You are incapable of reading between the lines. It's okay. You're just angry. As long as people self-ID as liberals, and that is where the masses are, you cannot invent an alternative vision where the masses should be. You can pontificate endlessly on where the masses and mass politics should be, but you have to work with the masses. Socialism, in all of its historic development, has still abso-fucking-lutely needed to build the vanguard, for example. If you don't even have a self-identifying 5% of Bolsheviks, if you don't have any sort of, like, even before we get to democratic centralization, you still need to have, even a self-declared, invested, decent percentage of self-identifying socialists, self-identifying communists. If you don't have that, then you have no movement. In the United States of America, you don't have that at all. It's that simple. CNN poll you just shows that not everyone's a liberal anymore. If you think that those people that self-identify as democratic socialists already have the adequate political education and the ideological discipline or the consistency, you are out of your mind. Okay? You need class consciousness and frustrated reforms. We have neither. Yes. The material conditions are not bad enough for the average person yet either. And there's also no fucking proof and no evidence that the frustrated masses that say enough with liberalism will then turn around and become socialists magically. Okay? They will become fascists. They are becoming fascists. Please stop with this fucking nonsense. I think this is the most viable way to engage in socialist organizing in the United States of America in 2026, the year of our holy Lord. That's what I believe. There are others who believe in relitigating historic attempts without taking into consideration the material conditions at all. We do not have an assembly line. We have an increasingly atomized society. We do not have an assembly line structure in commodity production. We do not have child labor. Well, we kind of have child labor now, actually. So I guess we did return to that form. But by and large, people don't think we have child labor. Let's just say it. Let's just put it like that. Okay. What is this? I said it last month and I'm saying it this month. We need to start treating leftists like Hassan Piker and his followers the same way we treat their MAGA counterparts. Are you a Zionist? What child labor do we have? Actually asking, states like Arkansas have actually rolled back child labor protections in an effort to make it easier for people to legally engage in child labor. Something that is often not talked about at all. Anyway, let's get to Tom Homan and a massive dub for a decentralized network of resistance. Tiff Mahogany 44, NATO member. Hassan Parker, the black and brown communities in the U.S. must live under the boot of the GOP until Gaza is free or something. Yeah, this person definitely. George Smiley, black woman, pro-West, pro-NATO, pro-Ukraine, dark Brandon Democrat, NAFO forever. I think if this person got their wishes and the Democratic Party actually, ran on whatever the fuck she cares about, they would get like a total of 18 votes, maybe. I suspect that they would get 18 total votes. Now, this is not a real position at all. This is coming directly from Langley, I think. That this is a federal agent, right? But it's pretty funny that this person thinks like the average American would vote for, being a pro NAFO supporter or something rather than free healthcare. Hassan's not gay. He's not an immigrant. He's a multimillionaire who gets more views the worse things are. He has more to benefit from a Trump-Vance presidency than 99.9% of Americans. Identity politics in 2026, multimillionaire streamer is not an identity. This is awesome because this person literally is a ultra Zionist. Who will the median voter listen to? We should stop giving Israel quintillion dollars and instead spend it on ourselves. My position. Versus if you don't give Israel $17 quintillion, you are a anti-Semite who must be removed from their position of power, who must no longer be able to get gainful employment. I wonder, out of these two ideas, whose ideas are more popular? Here's a fun game, says leftist lawyer. Whenever you see centrist slop, slinging loser, complaining about the left, search their posts for the word genocide. It's always, look at what they think about Gaza, look at what they think about Israel, look at what they think about ICE, even though some of these centrists have actually moved on ICE, luckily. Search Gaza and Palestine can be a real eye-opener. So many Jasmine Crockett stands tried it with me. Almost every single one was actively cheering on genocide, or at the very least making an excuse for it. Same old, same old. This tweet is so funny because you would do 100K concurrent in an AOC presidency? Yes, 100%. That's what's so hilarious about it. Also, this kind of attitude is so stupid because I do well regardless. People said, oh, when Biden gets elected, you'll lose your audience. And guess what? I didn't. It's fucking stupid. How about you worry about building your own platform? You know what I mean? How about you worry about building your own audience with your own shit-ass ideas? That Basil Cuck voted for Cuomo. Oh, that's the other thing. When you see people chirp like this, see what they said about voting for Andrew Cuomo over Zohran Mamdani. Yeah, MacD Jacobs. Historically, I've been open about the fact that Democrats demolishing Republicans' elections makes me horny. I'm not discovering another force that can approach this aphrodisiacal power. Democrats growing a collective spine against the performatively destructive online left. Yeah, you're not going to be nutting too hard. I'm going to be honest with you, MacD Jacobs. Sorry to fucking burst your bubble. I don't like that guy, but he did not vote for Cuomo. He voted for Zellner. No, in the general. Really? In the general? Yeah, Greg Bovino is horny again, by the way, before we continue with, hang on, sorry, just a fact check law. Just not true law. Love that this happened after you posting the whole people will lie about you. They indeed did, right? Primary ballot looked the same, but I ranked Zellner first. I still don't believe it. I believe this person in shame took a photo of someone else's ballot, but I'm glad that they feel the need to lie about it. Yeah, this was the other one. Facts Lives Matter. Zohran Mamdani barely won a local election in liberal New York City against terrible candidates. The leftists will never win a national election in this country, and Hassan is willing to help a Republican inflict harm on the marginalized people he claims to care about. He's an awful person. I think Mamdani ran a good campaign and should be given a chance, but you leftists need to stop kissing his ass. Zohran sucks, and I hope he loses. Well, give it some more time. You'd be sucking his dick. The percentage of corporate Dems that are mad at you, 42% of Lay's customers didn't know their chips were made from actual potatoes, survey found. Semi-related, but going through the replies in your tweet storm, I noticed the libs will at least pretend they've always been at our position with Mamdani specifically, but generally too. I know. Good. That's good. They're bending the knee. They're genuflecting. That's my point. My point is these guys are regime pilled, okay? They will defend whatever the Democratic Party puts out. So it is pertinent upon us to make sure that the people that the Democrats are putting out are fucking socialists. That's it. It's that simple. Because some of these people do unironically believe that socialists are a dead end. Okay? They do. They legitimately believe that socialists are a dead end, just as they legitimately believe that resisting against ICE occupation in Minneapolis would not lead to anything promising. They have no vision. They lack political courage. They lack vision. Destiny said in a recent stream that he likes Mamdani when he does good things, but when things fall apart in New York, he'll say, I told you so. Yeah.
Seen a big change here in the last couple of weeks. and it's all good changes.
Womp, womp.
I'm also pleased to report that we're seeing a notable decrease on unlawful agitator activity here in Minneapolis and overall throughout the state. This is great news for Minnesota communities that have been adversely impacted by the lawlessness and chaos on the street. We have what we call here QRFs, Quick Response Force, security teams, that get called out when ICE officers are out doing operations. They get into trouble.
Tom, don't say this. The Dow is doing well. Tom, stop. Think about the Dow. Thomas. I'm the Walter White meme in the car screaming, Tom. The fuck? Your mom hated you before birth enough to give you a blocked airway, Tom Holman. Oh my God. Thomas, no. Tomathan. Stop. Consider the Dow before saying such silly things.
If agitators get out of control, if there's a danger and public safety is at risk, these QRFs respond to help these officers get off the X and get out of that situation. I asked today when I got here, I want to know what the QRFs call outs are, what their deployments are. I want to know every time a QRF is called out. The QRF deployments have dropped dramatically because we have less of that occurring, less of the agitator that cross that line. That is a good thing. That is a win for everybody, not just for the safety of law enforcement officers. It's a win for this community. With that, and success that has been made arresting public safety threats and other priorities since this surge operation began, as well as the unprecedented levels of coordination we have obtained from state officials and local law enforcement, I have proposed, and President Trump has concurred, that this surge operation conclude. A significant drawdown has already been underway this week.
Yeah, we did. It was tremendously successful. It was blah, 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 blah. The comments doing what about Jay-Z really highlights how off the path we are. We're talking about drugs. Let's talk about Epstein and friends drugging underage girls that raped them. Why y'all don't want to talk about the Epstein files? I mean, a lot of people are just cattle. You can just avoid them, honestly. Like anyone that responds to Cardi B talking about the Epstein cover-up as with like a Jay-Z dunk or something is just is just cattle that you can avoid. You can just like jiggle keys in front of their eyes. That's it. You can convince them to sell you the deed for their home if they have one for $0.
To the next week. We have a lot of work to do across this country to remove public safety.
Did they arrest anyone for the Somali fraud hoax, or did everyone forget about that now? I mean, it was never about that anyway, especially because ICE and the Department of Homeland Security has no basis in dealing with hoaxes and things like that.
Risk who shouldn't even be in this country. And to deliver on President Trump's promise for strong border security and mass deportation, law enforcement officers drawn down from this surge operation will either return to their duty stations or be assigned elsewhere to achieve just that.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our...
Senator Hawley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Ellison, let me start with you. You're the Attorney General of the state of Minnesota. Do I have that correct?
I saw a Majority Report this morning talk about that Cato guy who fucking cooked. I mean, he had some dumb libertarian takes as well in between, but I do want to watch that clip if someone has it.
Correct. That's a yes.
Sir, you're aware of my job. You know the answer to that.
You're not going to answer my questions? Are we going to start this way? Are you the Attorney General of the state of Minnesota? Yes or no?
You know the answer.
Mr. Ellison, you're in my courtroom now. You're under oath. So I suggest that you answer my questions. You the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the state of Minnesota? Yes or no? Let's try another question. Are you familiar with the $9 billion in historic fraud out of your state, including the $250 million in the Feeding Our Future program alone? You familiar with that? Don't turn to the pages in your book to get your potted answers. Are you familiar with it? Yes or no?
Yes, I am familiar with it.
Very familiar, aren't you? Because the people who ran the Feeding Our Futures program came to you in your official office in the state capitol December 11th, 2021, and asked for your help in getting investigators off their backs. They complained to you.
Are you aware that Twitch is forcing ads on your stream? I don't think so. Unless there's some issue here, but I don't think that is the case. I think, but you should subscribe regardless to avoid the ads at the top of the hour, which I don't think they are. I think it's just because you have an ad blocker on, so it just serves a commercial break, but there's no actual ad. Instantly independent. I'm ad-free and not subscribed. Bitch, change that right now. The Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers. What the hell? What the hell do you mean you're not fucking subscribed? Subscribe now for free with a Twitch Prime right now, or for $6 a month, or gift a sub to those who do not have it. I mean, it's voluntary though. Let's be real. Don't pre-roll still have it? No, not on the politics tab. Do you get paid from Twitch Prime subs? Yes. The greedy insulin dependent. What do you have to pay for? Your fucking insulin? Lame. But with Turbo, with Twitch Turbo, it doesn't give me anything unless I serve ads. And if I don't serve ads, then I don't get any revenue from Twitch Turbo. Philly Decentrist audience is on your side between you and Gavin? Hell yes. Oh my God. Even if Philip DeFranco's audience is on my side, I'm telling you, man, even the libs on the internet, self-IDing libs, lifelong Democratic Party voters are like, fuck Gavin Newsom. Yes. Yes, that's why all the chirping from these fucking Twitter centrist libs are irrelevant.
Upwards of an hour about state investigators going after them, and they begged you to help them, and you agreed to it, amazingly. And we know you did.
That's not
because
true.
it's all caught on tape.
Yeah,
Every single sentence is caught on tape. Here's what you said. Let's take a look. You said, it's not a question. You said to them, send me the names of all these folks who are investigating them. You said to them, send me their names, and I'll take that list, and I'll call the person over at Education who's investigating them and say, what's going on? Why am I getting these complaints? Then you went on to say, I already have my team working on this. What day should we get together to discuss it again? You made pledge after pledge to them. You said, we've got to make sure this guy who's investigating them stops it. You said, you have my attention. I'm concerned about this. You said, let's go fight these people, meaning the people who are investigating the fraud. Why'd you do it? Why'd you help them?
Are you going to let me answer?
Please, we're all ears.
So first of all, you're cherry picking quotes out of there.
Why did you help them?
I thought you were going to let me answer.
Why did you
help them? Are you going to let
them?
me answer?
Why did you help
You
them?
let me answer and I'll answer you.
Tell the truth and I'll let you answer.
I will tell the truth.
Good.
Let's do that.
That'd be a nice change. Why'd you help them?
Now see, Mr. Chairman, I didn't come here to be insulted. I came here voluntarily.
You came here for the truth. Let's have it. Why did you help them? The quotes are here. They're in black and white, and every member of this audience can listen to the recording. It's 54 minutes long. It's all in public. You can Google it right now and listen to it.
And listen to it all.
Why'd you help them?
First of all, I didn't help them.
You did help them.
No, I did not. I certainly didn't.
You're saying you didn't do anything for them. You didn't.
Well, wait a minute.
I already have my team working on this again. That's not you?
I have my team assisted with the information that led to the prosecution and conviction of these people.
No, you didn't. You didn't lift a finger to prosecute them. No, you did not. You didn't lift a finger to prosecute them.
Federal prosecution.
You had, BS. You had whistleblowers come to you as early as 2019.
You're the one talking BS.
Hey, listen, it's my time.
Doesn't know what you're talking about, sir.
No, sir. You now have encountered the truth and you don't like it. Why'd you take their money? Why'd you take their money?
I didn't.
You took $10,000.
No, that's a false statement.
$10,000 9 days after the meeting.
False statement.
You took $10,000. Here's what happened. They went to your office.
Bro, the most effective argumentation tool that these guys have at their disposal that they deploy over and over again is just know you, know you, know you, know you. That's it. That's all they got, baby. Know you, know you, know you.
They solicited money from you. They came to your office. It was your official office. You met with them for 54 minutes. They asked you for help. You pledged it to them, and they talked repeatedly about money. In fact, it's all they talked about. Money, 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 money. They said, we will put our dollars in the right place. We will support candidates that will fight to protect our interests. You replied, that's right. They said, if you are securing your donor base and securing your power base, you can act the way you want. You replied, money is freedom. They said the amount of money circulating, I'm reading the transcript, the amount of money circulating in our community today is powerful, and we haven't realizing it in a meaningful way. And you said, give me the specifics. And 9 days later, you took $10,000 from people who were then indicted. It's in your reports. Why'd you do it?
Sir,
was it worth it?
You know what? This is a theatrical performance.
This is the truth. This is what accountability looks like, of which you've had none. You helped fraudsters defraud your state and this government of $9 billion, and you got a fat campaign contribution out of it. You ought to be indicted.
True. Well,
that's the truth.
A fat campaign contribution of $10,000.
I think we've made the point. Let's keep the tenor
Well,
just
for
a
the
little
record,
more calm.
Oh, I'll ask how I want
he's
to,
lying,
Senator Paul.
and that's the truth.
Oh, no, this is all on the record,
no, sir.
Did you bother
You are-
Did you bother to investigate where the money that you facilitated their fraud for, where it went? Do you know where it went, what it was used for, the fraudulent money? I do, because we just heard testimony about it yesterday.
Because we
the
were
funds
key
went
players in the
hundreds of millions of
investigation.
dollars to terrorist
we
groups,
do
to
know.
transnational criminal organizations, to the drug trade, to drug trafficking, to child trafficking. And you took $10,000
That's a lie.
and helped them do it. You know, the other thing is,
untrue statement.
whistleblowers came to you as early as 2019. Let's look. As early as 2019, whistleblower. Don't talk over me.
No,
as
no,
early
you're
as
talking over me.
2019, it's my hearing, pal. As early as
I'm not your pal.
2019.
Don't call me pal.
Whistleblowers came to, well, I should call you prisoner because you ought to be in jail.
Well, see what you can do
In
about it.
2019, whistleblowers came to you in your office and referred to you fraud allegations from Feeding Our Futures, and you blew them off. Listen, your own state newspaper
That's a lie.
investigated it. The Minnesota Star Tribune, the Partners in Nutrition, brought its concerns to the Attorney General's office in 2018 and in 2019, and you did nothing. You did nothing for years. The only action you took is, once all these fraudsters came to your office and asked you to get involved and offered you money,
Did not come to
then
my
you got
office.
involved.
They
Then
did
you
not-
took the money, and then you got involved.
They did not come to my office. You're completely wrong about that.
You met with them
I did
for
not take
54
anybody's money.
minutes, and you took $10,000, and they also gave your family money. They gave your family thousands of dollars in campaign contributions in addition to what they gave
a false
you.
statement.
Let's put
This is
back up.
completely untrue.
The New York Post.
Yeah, we know the New York Post.
Minnesota Keith Ellison, AG, accepted campaign donations from individuals linked to the $250 million COVID fraud scheme after they were in your office. The donations came on December 20th.
Sir,
you
this
met
is
with them
not-
on December the 11th, and on January 20th, the FBI knocked over their headquarters.
No.
That's the sequence of events here.
No, it's not.
You've
the
been
sequence
right
of
at the
events.
center of this fraud
It's not
thing
the
from the
sequence of
beginning,
events.
and
It's
you've
untrue.
enabled it. And sir,
The false
you
statement.
should resign.
And sir, you should resign. I was thinking the same thing about you.
Should resign.
You,
Thank you,
I was
Mr.
thinking
Chairman.
the exact same thing about you.
I'm sure after encountering
Yeah,
this
yeah.
truth, you are, because it hurts to have
because
accountability, doesn't it?
Because after this parade
It
of
hurts to have
lies and
accountability.
presentation,
Time has
I think you should be
expired.
ashamed for misrepresentation.
Time has expired. Senator Moreno.
The Minnesota lieutenant governor encouraged people to put their bodies on the line.
I can't imagine encouraging somebody that supported me politically to go and put themselves into harm's way. I can't imagine that, particularly when you know that these law enforcement officials had been shot at, a couple of illegal immigrants inadvertently killed because people were shooting at ICE officers. Their vehicles have been rammed by some of these peaceful protesters, probably the trained activists.
By the way, having this kind of attitude right now, like especially right now, when the body camera footage that just came out is in fucking sanity, okay? It is absolute in fucking sanity. These people are trying to shoot at ICE officers. You fucking bullshit, okay? Not only is it unimaginably unpopular, even Republicans are looking at it and going, yeah, I don't know, this one maybe is a little bit too much. The video I'm talking about, we will be watching in a little bit. Okay? But, yes, I have seen Bovino's horny tweets. That's besides the point. That's like not the most consequential part of the story. Hold on. I want to show you the, it's in the next video. Okay, we'll watch it. Yes, I saw the GQ post. I'm going to talk about China maxing as well. Hold on. Okay, this is a woman that was shot by Border Patrol agents in Chicago. I think Maria Martinez, if I'm not mistaken. It is fucking insane. Another person that they lied and said was like a terrorist or whatever, for the record.
Rocks thrown at their vehicles. I can't imagine encouraging people, put yourselves in harm's way. Get out there and record that. I, as a government official, would have said, back off. Let us work with ICE. Let's cooperate with them. Let's see if we can't de-escalate this. But Attorney General, you did the exact opposite. And 2 people are dead because you encouraged them to put themselves into harm's way. And now you're exploiting those 2 martyrs. That was a tragedy.
Martyrs?
It never...
Wait, so they are martyrs. Nice.
Should have happened. Now, we can investigate, but I can't imagine.
He either called them martyrs or called them murders, in which, both are correct.
Being a law enforcement official, where I know my colleagues have been shot at, their vehicles rammed, that there are trained activists deployed. And by the way, we know at least one of those activists had a semi-automatic pistol with extra clips. So now you're an ICE officer, you're doing enforcement action, you've got a team behind you trying to protect you, you've got all these trained activists behind you. Is it any wonder they're at hair trigger alert? A tragedy was going to happen, and you encouraged it. And you ought to feel damn guilty about it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
This kind of political posturing rings hollow when
Now
you know
4:30.
the actual confrontations with ICE lead to fucking murders over and over again. None of this shit matters. We love Second Amendment, except for the fact that when someone is doing open carry, yeah. The government claims she rammed Border Patrol agents with her vehicle before an agent shot her 5 times. But the new body cam video shows the agent turned his steering wheel towards Marimar Martinez and that he was congratulated for excellent service after shooting her. This is fucking defensible, chat. If you haven't seen this, let's take a look.
Cameras on. This is newly released.
By the way, notice how he goes cameras on. That's another thing that is really frustrating about the body camera conversation, is though like the body cameras are something that these guys are at odds with. They're not, okay? That's a fucking lie. Any kind of like reform in the body camera position is not actually moving the conversation in a place that we need to move it to. They're just using that as a way to just give modest reforms, or the idea of modest reforms. The guy that shot Renee Good literally was filming himself with his phone camera. It's awesome. What's next? Oh, at least he could use both hands when he fucking murders other people like Renee Good next time, because the body camera will do the filming process for him.
Body camera video. A team of 3 Border Patrol agents is driving through a Southside Chicago neighborhood. 2 have guns drawn. Marimar Martinez, an American citizen and school teacher, is driving next to them, honking her horn, warning people to the presence of federal immigration enforcement.
Like, this image should be posterized everywhere as a somber reminder for those who are oblivious that when ICE is around you in your neighborhoods and whatnot, they got their fingers on the trigger and they're in the car with their fucking gear and their weapons, okay?
Another vehicle is behind the agents, also honking the horn.
All right, it's time to get aggressive and get the out, because they're trying to box us in.
It all happens in seconds.
See something there? Do you see that? Do you notice something there? They fucking lied and said Martinez was the one who actually rammed into the ICE car as a terrorist. Okay?
It all happens in seconds.
These tactical dipshits are straight up running around acting like they're in Sicario. It's time to get aggressive. It's time to get kinetic with them. The people that they're getting kinetic with are fucking American citizens, by the way.
Advise, we've been struck.
Martinez was shot 5 times and survived. In this surveillance video, you can see the front of the agent's SUV come to a stop. 4 seconds later, Martinez's silver Nissan drives off, she says, fearing for her life. The Department of Homeland Security was quick to accuse her of attacking federal law enforcement, saying Border Patrol agents were, quote, ambushed by domestic terrorists that rammed federal agents with their vehicles. FBI Director Kash Patel.
Yeah, it turns out, once again, I'm going to show you. Look.
Enforcement.
Do
Another
something,
vehicle
bitch.
is behind the agents, also honking the horn.
All right, it's time to get aggressive and get the out, because they're trying to box us in.
It all happens in seconds.
Look. You see that? You see that?
It's time to get aggressive and get the out, because they're trying to box us in.
It all happens in seconds.
ICE rams into her car and then shoots into her fucking car, dude.
She says, fearing for her life. The Department of Homeland Security was quick to accuse her of attacking federal law enforcement, saying Border Patrol agents were, quote,
what do you mean? See what? Can you explain what is happening? He's swerving into her car, ramming her fucking car. He says, we got to get like active. They're trying to box us in. Ridiculous. Okay. Swerves into her car to ram into her car and then subsequently get out of their vehicle and shoot her. You see it in the video.
Ambushed by domestic
we need to get aggressive. Sorry, it doesn't say active. He even says we need to get aggressive.
terrorists that rammed federal agents with their vehicles. FBI Director Kash Patel posted on social media about the incident, quote, "Attack our law enforcement and this FBI will find you and bring you to justice." The post also included a link to video of a car ramming, but it had no connection to Martinez's case. And the body camera video tells a different story. In the lead up to the collision, you hear agents say they are going to collide with Martinez.
We're going to make contact and we're boxed in.
And just before the moment of impact, it's Agent Charles Exum who sharply turns his steering wheel in the direction of Martinez. Proof, according to her attorney, that they hit her vehicle, not the other way around. And as for the claim of being boxed in, this surveillance video calls that comment into question, with nothing in the path ahead of the border agent's vehicle. The court also released text messages and emails from after the shooting, including one message from Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino, just hours after the incident, offering to delay the retirement of Agent Exum, who shot Martinez.
Good afternoon. I'd like to extend an offer to you to extend your retirement beyond age 57. This will be your second extension, and we'd like to consider this if feasible. In light of your excellent service in Chicago, you have much yet left to do. Joe, would you have staff work with Mr. Exum to accomplish this most illustrative endeavor? Thank you.
In light of your excellent service in Chicago, you have much left to do. And then a text message exchange between Agent Exum and someone whose name was redacted. Are they supportive? Someone asked. Big time. Everyone has been, including Chief Bovino, Chief Banks, Secretary Noem, and El Jefe himself. In various texts to and from fellow agents.
You need to understand, by the way, some of these guys are other like law enforcement officers from different branches too. They know what to say when the fucking body cameras are on. That's why it's important when they go, oh, cams are on, by the way. So they can try to create plausible deniability or try to create reasonable grounds for the court case that will come up after. They're chasing a fucking legal kill. Just understand that, which is why I keep repeating, like, the body camera, the body camera situation is not actually the reform that you think is going to solve this problem. Okay? They have full control over when the body cameras are turned on. They have full control over what to release and what not to release. There's plenty of instances where for as many successful cases of prosecution against bad cops that like accidentally turn on the body camera, forgetting that the cameras can actually record the 30 seconds prior to you turning on the body camera and whatnot. There are a million different instances where they actually use the body camera to their advantage to make it seem as though they actually had reasonable fear for their own safety. That is what they're doing in this circumstance when they say, oh, they're trying to box us in, regardless of the additional evidence that you can see with your own two fucking eyes that they weren't getting boxed in at all, to make it seem like there is no reasonable grounds for this kind of violent escalation. Okay? They will lie. They'll say we've been struck. They will make it seem like someone shot them. Yeah, it seems like the agent who was recording was trying to cover the body cam with his weapon, but missed the fact that the high FOV of the cam was showing Exum through the trigger guard of the gun. Yeah. Like, it's only fortunate that we actually see the wheel, like the wheel steering in the direction of the car. Like, he was trying to fucking cover it up and it didn't work.
Mood was celebratory. Good job, brother. You are a legend among agents. You better effing know that. Beers on me when I see you at training. That's awesome. You did real good. Damn it, man. Good shooting. The day after the shooting, Martinez was indicted. According to the complaint, she, quote, forcibly assaulted, resisted, opposed, impeded, intimidated, and interfered with an officer of the United States. After her attorney viewed the body camera footage and other evidence emerged that undermined the government's version of events, prosecutors made an extraordinary move and asked the judge to drop their own case. The judge agreed, but not long after, she told me the shooting still haunts her.
I don't want to remember that day. You're laying there at night and you're just thinking about it, like, what's gonna happen? Like, it's really emotional to me. So it's like, it's hard for me to talk about it, but I'm trying.
And that's part of why Martinez pushed to get all of this information out.
Dude, anytime there's footage of these fucking animals, by the way, you get to see their mentality. Like, gracias, hitting them with a fucking, this fucking bitch, all this stuff. Like, it is pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy, like, the way that they operate. They're fucking animals, okay?
Because she believed it allows people to have a greater understanding of how agents might react after something like this, no matter the city, and to further clear her name, because the Department of Homeland Security has never retracted its accusations against Martinez, even after the case was dropped. Now, the shooting agent, Charles Exum, Customs and Border Protection, said he's been placed on what was described as routine administrative leave pending further investigation. Anderson.
It's wild to me. Are we watching the same video? This is CNN parroting a lawsuit complaint for the sake of getting an emotional exclusive interview to rile up their 53 viewers. They should drop the charade and hire a reporter as co-counsel. Once again, CNN demonstrates complete aversion to the truth. Border Patrol, dude, I can't. I'm sorry. I can't fucking deal with this shit, dude. I like, they are actively designing a world where the truth doesn't matter. There's no consensus reality. I don't know. Like, I don't know what to say about it, you know? I appreciate the response, but the agent himself testified he wouldn't consider this a ramming, and this is also his vehicle in the highlighted circle at the time of the shooting. Do you assess this as boxed in? Like, what are you debate lording? You're the Department of Homeland Security. This is the one where the cop joked about her having 5 bullet holes for her 7 holes. Yeah, ever wonder why on earth the Labor Department kept posting Nazi memes? Apparently, it's this guy, and now he's at the Department of Homeland Security. He raised alarms among colleagues at USDOL for a social media post that echoed white supremacists and neo-Nazis. So now he will handle social media for Department of Homeland Security.gov. A great scoop by Evan Gorlick for the New York Times on the 21-year-old behind all those weird memes on government accounts. That's right. The administration looked at all of his like white supremacist posting at the Department of Labor and thought, well, this would work better for our more white supremacist Department of Homeland Security.
Tell me how you define white identity and what you think is being erased about white identity.
Certain types of Anglo-derived culture that comes from our history.
Bro, why do they always look like this? Why do they always look like this? This is not the 21-year-old, I don't think. This is a different guy. There's many guys, right? This can't be the 21-year-old. You will never convince me that that guy is the 20. Yeah, Peyton Rollins is 21. That's a different guy. This is Mr. Jeremy Carl. I'm sure Peyton Rollins also looks like shit too. It's crazy how fucking ugly these people are. Don't give me this body fascism nonsense from the left, by the way. I'm sorry. From this day on, body fascism just means you have the worst fucking body if you are a fascist, okay? Hassan, this is eugenics. No shot, man. I've seen far too many motherfuckers that look like this that are like, we are the master race. Bitch, you are the master bait. What the fuck are you talking about? The master raised my fucking ass. I swear to God, hate makes you fucking rot from within, and it just comes out in your outsides. This is the little 21-year-old Nazi who's now in charge of digital comms director at DHS, Peyton Rollins. There it is. It's crazy, man. It's so funny. These guys are constantly worried about declining white birth rates. And it's like, well, okay, well, don't look like that. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. Look at like Bad Bunny and then look at you. Who do you think people are going to want to fuck? You could even the odds a little bit if you didn't have such a repulsive worldview. Okay. But let's be real. You ain't getting no pussy looking like that.
History, there's
and with the worst ideas of all time.
Let me think about this. Senator, I would say if you were to look at the book by one of your former Senate colleagues, Born Fighting, about the sort of Scotch-Irish military culture and certain, pride that went with that would be one example. Obviously, you could have sub-elements of that culture. You could have Italians, you could have Irish, and those are in many ways more.
Yeah, but you're worried about white culture. You're not worried about, you're now retreating to ethnic identity. You don't speak about ethnic identity. You speak about white identity. So tell me the values that stitch together white identity and that make it different than black identity.
I would say that the white church is very different than the black church in terms of its tone and style on average. Food ways could often be different.
Dude, it's awesome. Yeah, Irish people clown on Irish American chuds all day. Yeah, this is so fucking sick. Interrogating these guys' worldview and putting it on the fucking main stage is so fire because one, you get to see them. Two, you get to watch tears behind their eyes as they tearfully talk about white identity. Like, there is no pathway for this. Okay? If you think that the average, like, suburban Republican or even like the most racist fucking ruraloid is going to look at this guy and be like, well, you know, he's speaking my language. Like, no, there is no cohesive, coherent white identity that leans into this Euroid style of white supremacy and white nationalism. Okay? American white supremacy revolves around proximity to blackness, and that's it. Okay? We ain't black. We ain't black. That's what it is. That's all this is. These guys try to do this like European style of like fascist nationalism that revolves around white identity, but the white identity shit in and of itself is also still positively European. Or sorry, the white identity thing is actually very American. Europeans, for the most part, at least historic fascism in Europe has not always revolved around white identity, right? It's revolved around like ethnic boundaries. That's the reason why European fascism historically is considered Slavs to be not white, whereas the American whiteness has expanded over time and considers many of these other subgroups that historic fascists despised and wanted to ethnically eradicate as a part of the white in-group. But if you look at like real European nationalists right now, real European fascists, like they hate Polish people, for example. They fucking hate Polish people. They don't consider Polish people to be white. So when you start talking about fucking, when you start trying to merge like white nationalism, white identitarianism with European style fascism, you kind of have this mishmash, this mix of both of these different variants, and it kind of fails. It fails in America. It fails to reach like broad consensus. You would not be considered white in Europe. Exactly. But I'm white as fuck in America. That's my point.
Music could be different.
And those are being erased.
Music could be different. If you look at the Super Bowl halftime show, which was not in English this year.
So our ability to access white churches or white food or white music is being erased?
I am concerned with the majority common American culture that we had for some time that through particularly mass immigration, I think has become much more balkanized, and I think that weakens us. And again, I'm not running away from that comment. I'm not apologizing for it.
Well, I'm way over my time. I think you're struggling to answer this question, right? Because underlying your beliefs is a sentiment that white culture is just simply better.
I love that shit, dude. Injected directly into my fucking veins. I love seeing these dumbasses be like, ah. This was Jeremy Carl, top Trump State Department nominee, deleted thousands of social media posts, many with inflammatory commentary, including incendiary posts about race, claims that peaceful coexistence with Democrats is impossible, even a call for Randy Weingarten to be executed. One deleted tweet said Capitol rioters on trial had it worse than black people in Jim Crow, Mississippi. Carl asked the Internet Archive Wayback Machine to remove his tweets, but seemingly forgot to request they remove his previous username under the same account. Carl also repeatedly wrote about the Great Replacement, a conspiracy theory that posits that there's a plot to intentionally bring non-white immigrants to the Western countries and replace them with white populations. Imagine thinking the Great Replacement is a conspiracy theory, he wrote in September 2021. He mocked George Floyd's death and said he was looking up from hell and called celebrating Juneteenth a surrender to white people. This is also part of the reason why, like, leftists in general never shut the fuck up about their true positions, their ideology, as opposed to right-wingers that constantly have to shelter their ideology. Because when push comes to shove, their endpoint is fucking insane. Our endpoint, you might consider to be not manageable, not realistic, but is nowhere near as violent as like the fascists are. It's not. It's not violence at all, unless you're a capital owner, at which point you think it's something worse than fucking death, which is to become a working class individual. A fate worse than death. An unimaginable trigger warning for the petite bourgeois and the capital owning class. I said, you might have a little bit of equality. You ever try being honest with yourself? All the time, baby. Guess what? I don't have to fucking sit in a room and constantly think, oh, I should be honest with myself. I'm honest with myself every day. What you see is what you get. I don't have to change my outward posture in any meaningful capacity. That's why it's always really funny when people go, Hassan, this guy Hassan is a socialist? I thought he was just like me. I thought he was a liberal. It's like, bitch, what do you mean? I say I'm a socialist all the damn time. Fuck you talking about? I even go so far as to say, I don't give a shit if people call me a communist. Sure, great. I think communism as an endpoint is fantastic. You know, it's awesome. What do you mean? You got a problem with the notion that like we could evolve as a society into no longer having to worry about any sort of class, any sort of borders, any sort of money? That's great. I love that. That seems far better than what we have as an endpoint under capitalism, right? You groomed the 37-year-old man, Hassan. Will you ever take accountability? I know. What do you mean this guy hit his Mao book when he first met Ethan Klein? Yeah, like, I don't give a shit. And your people's ideology tends to evolve as time passes, as they respond to the political forces that they're experiencing, that they're seeing. They look at different attempts towards building socialism, and maybe some of your positions harden throughout that time. But ultimately, I've never actually shied away from my political worldview at all, right? I testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee. I discussed the largest fraud in the history of U.S. immigration system perpetrated. This is David J. Beyer from Cato Institute. This was 5 minutes of absolute fucking bars, by the way. I mean, there are some moments where he's like a little libertarian and a little weird, but overall, you know, I love the fucking free movement libertarians. I love the anti-imperialist libertarians. Really, I love the anti-cop libertarians. They still exist, and many of them work at the Cato Institute. Obviously, take with a grain of salt what he says about like what the true fraud is, right? Is Mao good for beginner leftist readers? I mean, he has very simplistic prose. It depends on what you're reading, I guess. A lot of what happened in China is just simply not applicable in the first world. So I wouldn't say yes. I think you start with Lenin, you start with Karl Marx, you move into Lenin. And look, I've had a diverse ideological diet. I've read Kropotkin, I've read Chomsky, I've read anarchists as well, for the record, before people fucking yell at me. But it depends on what you're trying to learn. It depends on what you're trying to understand. If you're trying to understand like how modern China came about, like what the processes were, but I would definitely say, yeah, Rosa Luxemburg is fantastic. Reform or Revolution by Rosa Luxemburg is a great one for beginners. These guys love writing, okay? They were intellectuals first and foremost before they were revolutionaries. Let's be fucking real, okay? Don't read Das Kapital. I mean, it's dense. It's very, very dense and very, very, very heavy in theory. I mean, it's all theory. That's all it is. But analysis of the way that capitalism operates is probably one of the best. If it is the best, let's be real, it's the best. Karl Marx's analysis on how capitalism works is the best interpretation of capitalism. Is the best analysis of capitalism. It's just literally describing capitalism. That's what Das Kapital is all about. I like Parenti. The super easy introductory like American way of understanding like American imperialism, I would say Howard Zinn is great. Read Frantz Fanon, yes. I mean, as far as like reading Mao or understanding like the Mao, it's good to understand China, and you must learn about Mao to understand what what the conditions look like. Settlers by Jay Sakai. Okay, calm the fuck down. Okay, what's a good Lenin book? All of them. Communist Manifesto enough for normies? Yes, Communist Manifesto is a super easy read. It's nothing. It's like basically a fucking pamphlet. I'm just saying, like, diving into Mao out of nowhere and then like trying to appropriate Maoist thought. No, it's been tried before, especially in the Western world, in developed nations, in the first world. It's not really applicable. The conditions are not even remotely similar, and the closest like contemporary interpretation, or at least at the time, the closest interpretation And the most successful application of Maoist thought was the Black Panther Party. And the reason why was because at the time, especially during the civil rights struggle, the conditions for black people were I guess, like one that you could interpret in a similar fashion to the peasant class, even though it still wasn't. It still was not a one-to-one comparison at all. And not only that, but also, I would say that, like if you're an American, Mao is a historical fascination. I think. I mean, don't get mad at me for saying this. Like I think it's very interesting, but at the end of the day, it's not. It's truly not applicable. It's not applicable at all. It also has the capacity to go very wrong if misinterpreted. And Mao is just the okay Dengist. That's crazy. Without Mao, there is no Deng. Without Deng, there is no Xi Jinping. This is an evolution that is ongoing. Normies will never identify as peasants. The treats are too good, even though they're diminishing. Normies are not even remote. Like Americans, listen, the labor aristocracy's material conditions do not even remotely resemble the peasant class in fucking China, in pre-PRC China. That is ridiculous. Okay? It's not even a thing. It's just not, you're not even close. You're not even remotely comparable, dude. The Panthers also identified as Marxist-Leninists as well. So did Mao. The closest you can arrive in the continental United States, the closest you can arrive at like a Maoist rebellion would be the undocumented migrants. That's like the close conditions resembling the peasant class in this day and age. Not the fucking lumpen pros in the Appalachia. Anyway, oh my God, want to distract a group of leftists? Ask them what the best book to start learning theory. All right, let's continue. Capitalism, Realism, Techno-Feudalism, and the Myth of American Idealism by Nathan J. Robinson and another author, great for beginners. Yeah, I mean, the other author is Yanis Varoufakis.
Member of the subcommittee, thank you for the opportunity to testify. For nearly half a century, the Cato Institute's research has shown that people of any ancestry, background, or birthplace can be assets in a free society. America's immigrants exemplify this truth. Despite often leaving terrible conditions abroad, immigrants work, start businesses, and invent at higher rates than the U.S.-born population.
Oh, the other guy is Chomsky. Yeah, the one with Nathan Robinson. Yes. That's I forgot. I didn't understand the joke you were making. You're right. Nathan J. Robinson wrote that with Chomsky. I thought you were talking about I thought you were talking about Yanis Varoufakis' book.
Cato's recent analysis shows that immigrants reduced deficits by $11.5 trillion over the last 30 years, including about $140 billion in Minnesota. Although welfare fraud is a serious problem, immigrants aren't to blame. Non-citizens account for just 5% of welfare fraud losses, 31% less per capita than U.S. citizens. Rather than targeting entire ethnic groups, Congress should end the broken welfare systems, namely the oversight-free aid to states that led to all the fraud in Minnesota. But let's be clear. DHS isn't anti-fraud. DHS is itself openly carrying out the largest fraud in the history of the U.S. immigration system. DHS and the State Department are raking in billions of dollars in immigration fees and not providing the adjudications that applicants are entitled to. For individuals for over 90 countries, half of all legal immigrants, the administration.
He's a libertarian, though. He's a libertarian. But he's not wrong, though, as far as like the Department of Homeland Security conducting fraud by taking money from hard-earned dollars from immigrants and their American family members to refuse to fucking process them. That is true. Speak on it, King. My goat. Now, of course, he goes back and forth and he's like, all matter of all of the regulatory forces in the federal government are technically doing fraud by existing. Now, when you go there, I'm like, okay, well, maybe you're a little crazy, but, but speak on it.
Is simply not processing their applications. The burden of proof is already on these applicants. DHS and state can deny anyone who fails to make their case. Instead, this administration is pocketing thousands of dollars from hardworking Americans and their relatives, including spouses and minor children of U.S. citizens, and then not even looking at their applications. This is a scam. It is fraud. DHS's entire Minnesota operation is another kind of scam sold to the public on lies. DHS hasn't criminally charged anyone with fraud there, and 60% of its immigrant arrests in Minnesota have no criminal convictions or charges. DHS itself classifies just 8% of its arrests in Minnesota as the highest threat level, and 3/4 of arrests it classifies as not being a threat at all. Instead of arresting fraudsters, it's seeking to jail 5,600 legal vetted refugees, nursing mothers, single parents, long-term residents, already dragged away from their families without any evidence of fraud at all. Rather than a law enforcer, DHS has become the biggest lawbreaker in America today. In less than a year, DHS has attacked the First, the Second, the Fourth, Fifth, Sixth, Eighth, 10th, 14th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution.
Stop working and go enjoy Canada, dork. Man, what are you talking about? I'm literally about to do a speech.
The writ of habeas corpus, the independent judiciary, and much more. Every day, masked DHS agents detain Americans based on their race and demographics. They arrest legal immigrants for criticizing their foreign policy and Americans for recording them doing it. They threaten, assault, and even shoot people for exercising their First and their Second Amendment rights. They break into our homes without judicial warrants. They sentence legal immigrants to foreign prisons without trials. They are trying to strip the citizenship of Americans born in this country. They detain people without lawful basis, and they ignore court orders to release them. And of course, they lie about all of it. Combating fraud and upholding the rule of law is important, but the public cannot have faith in that effort by an administration that regularly gets away with fraud, lies, and lawlessness. Even the FBI supervisor and the 14 U.S. attorneys in Minnesota who were responsible for leading the welfare fraud effort there lost faith. They quit because of DHS's operation there. We need accountability. The Supreme Court has said Congress hasn't authorized Americans to sue immigration agents for constitutional violations. So fix it. No more absolute immunity, as the White House says. The new standard, absolute accountability. Anything.
Fucking, I mean, he cooks, even though he literally is like, hey, you want to cut welfare fraud? Stop giving money to the states, which is insane. Like, listen to how shocked Senator Kennedy was. I should have clarified more how it's actually 3 different overlapping policies: the presidential visa ban, the USCIS benefit suspension, and the State Department immigration visa suspension, leading to the theft from applicants.
Mr. Byer, am I saying your name right?
It's Mr. Beer.
Mr. Byer, am I saying your name right? You strike me as a country bumpkin, Mr. Byer. No, I'm a simple country folk. I ain't never seen nobody with glasses that had any dang good thing to say, Mr. Byer. I'm a Rhodes Scholar, by the way. Went to Oxford. You heard of it? Now, I'm a illiterate country bumpkin, Mr. Byer, but you look like a fella that knows what's going on.
Mr. Beer, I like beer better.
Most people do.
Tell me that, I think I heard you say that some people, some folks who've come to our country and are trying to get status to stay, have applied to the Department of Health of DHS, and they've paid money, and DHS is doing nothing?
Oh, that's right. Yep, they're sitting on their applications, not processing them.
That's a pretty bold statement. How many people, I'm not saying you're wrong, I don't know. How many people we're talking about?
About half of the immigrant flow right now.
So
90 countries are affected by the State Department ban.
How many people is that?
Well, it's at least 300,000 abroad and probably twice that when you consider the people already in the U.S.
So you're saying that 300,000 folks have gone to DHS to seek some kind of permanent status or semi-permanent status to stay, at least 300,000, and they paid money to DHS, and DHS has done nothing. Is that what?
That's right. Yeah, they're sitting on their applications.
Well, who
or they're
at
just
DHS is
putting
doing
them in the
this?
trash.
Who at DHS is doing this?
Oh, it's Joseph Edlow. He's in charge of it. He came up with this policy to just.
Who is he?
He's the head of USCIS. Joseph Edlow is the head of USCIS. He came up with this policy
DHS?
where he is just.
Slow down a minute, man. You've had too much coffee. Is he he's at DHS?
I'm just from New Jersey. So.
I understand. Great state, too. Who does he report to?
Secretary Noem, of course.
Okay. Does Secretary Noem know whether this...
I don't know what Secretary Noem knows, but she's aware of the general tenor of this administration.
What's his name?
Joseph.
I like that he is expressing the same level of shock and dismay that he did when he was reading smut on the congressional floor. Who are these people? Who's Secretary Noem? Who's this Secretary Noem lady? What's next? You gonna tell me she killed her puppy? Why I oughta?
Edlow.
Mr. Edlow, who's his boss?
Secretary Noem.
Oh, okay. And you can document all this?
Oh, absolutely. They put out a memorandum saying we're not processing these people.
Late, but my oldest bro loved the combo with Bob. He's gone from moderate to more left. My Irish Catholic mom, always conservative and even voted Trump before, but is now anti-Israel, anti-ICE, and purposely has pronouns for patients you care for. She's happy I'm dating a Palestinian. You always say people can change, and it's true. So you and Welch are right. Hell yeah. Also, subtle, but not so subtle flex. I'm dating. Okay, Andrew.
And Secretary Rubio.
Okay, girlfriend haver.
Is involved as well when it comes to the State
Department. Would you send me that memo, please?
I will absolutely send that to you.
I went way over. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Joe.
I appreciate.
My cousin works for USCIS, and her department approves the application, and the department was cut in half. Half was sent to ICE enforcement, and the department's already behind so many applications. Yeah. And then they fucking have the audacity to be like, well, come in the right way, brother. It's like, dude, you're arresting the people that are coming in the right way. Like, that's what's so fucking nutty about this. It's like, come in the right way, come in the right way. It's like, well, you're literally killing the right way. And then you're turning around and then actually killing the people. You're deporting the people that are coming the right way, doing the right things, making it virtually impossible to come in the right way anyway. It's just designed this way so that people have no options. And then, of course, lo and behold, you have this side of the story, where the fucking dipshits that are being funded to brick this system that was already fundamentally broken, brick it even further, are going around shooting people.
Did the federal government lie in a statement it made about a Chicago woman shot multiple times by Customs and Border
The answer is yes, is always yes.
Patrol agent?
And today, attorneys for Miramar Martinez took the wraps off a trove of evidence they say proves it did. NBC5's Charlie Wojciechowski joining us from the newsroom with the details. Charlie, there's a lot of evidence to take a look at here.
There really is, Stephen. 3 body cam videos, more than 200 pages of photos and text. And you may remember that CBP Chief Craig Bavino, Homeland Security Director Kristi Noem were quick to label Martinez as a domestic terrorist. Weeks later, all the charges against her were dropped. Her attorneys say this evidence shows why.
We're going to make contact and we're boxed in.
We are boxed in.
Federal agents recorded on their own body camera video the day one of them shot Miramar Martinez 5 times.
We've been struck.
Now her attorneys have the permission of the courts to release this video and hundreds of pages of evidence that was to be used against her in court if the case had not been dismissed.
You got to see why it matters that people can actually see the real evidence as opposed to the false claims by our government. I mean, we live in a strange time right now where we cannot trust our federal government.
While she watched,
I mean, I don't know if it's a strange. I mean, I get saying that because, like, you know, it gives you a stronger point here, but I don't know if it's a strange time.
Martinez's legal team laid out a series of statements made about her by the government. Statements they say the evidence disproves.
To have your own government call you something as hurtful and as harmful as a domestic terrorist when you know you're not is just unacceptable.
They say Martinez was among those who honked their call horns to warn neighbors about ICE and that she did carry a holstered gun in the bottom of her purse. But they deny she had tried to attack the officers, pointing to shots that pierced her windshield and blew out her back window, where a bag of clothes that she was on her way to donate can be seen. They point to a series of texts between the officer who fired the shots and his posse, congratulating him on the shooting, and an email from then CBP Chief Greg Bovino offering him a promotion.
They don't know whether Miramar is going to live or die, and he's being promoted. I mean, that's disgusting.
Now Martinez is planning to bring a civil suit against that officer and his supervisors, something that can be challenging when a federal agent is involved.
We can hold them accountable monetarily, and we'll be asking for damages in the tens of millions of dollars when we do get our day in court.
Martinez herself did not speak, only addressing one question about being afraid. I am not afraid of anyone, she said in Spanish. The only thing I fear is God. Patrol saying CBP is dedicated to the highest standards for training its officers. It says that this is a matter that is currently under investigation. And as far as Officer Exum, the person who did fire the shots into that car, there is an investigation into him, according to the attorneys for Martinez. The Customs and Border Patrol folks asked us to ask the Justice Department about that. Reporting live in the newsroom, I'm Charlie Wojciechowski. Stephen Marion, back to you.
All right, Charlie, we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Oh, Black Panthers. Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you.
All power to the people. Hello.
Hi,
All
Julia.
power to the people.
Nice to meet you.
Julia. Power to the people. Power to the people. Skip. All power to the people.
Aren't these guys no longer called Black Panthers, but like Black Lions or something? Is the National Black Panther Party the historic continuation that I would say has become a Fed-coded version of what it once was? Is now telling the Black Panther Party to cut it out, or these guys to cut it out because they're pro-immigrant, which is crazy because the Black Panther Party historically is a Maoist, Marxist-Leninist Maoist party.
You all ready for come in?
Yeah.
No, these guys aren't feds. As far as I know, I don't think these guys are feds. But I don't know. It's just
self-defense. I'm Comrade Jazz. You can call me Skip. Or the Black Panther Party of Self-Defense.
We met the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense at their headquarters in Philadelphia.
Okay, what's in there?
AK-47 and the AR-12.
Their popularity has surged in recent weeks, especially following the death in Minneapolis of Renee Nicole Good, killed by an ICE officer.
They just killed that lady right there in that car, y'all. This is my response to ICE right here. You know, the United States of America hates this gun. This is a Polish AK-47.
What's your message to ICE?
Fuck around and find out. Try doing that shit to me. See what happened.
Look around. Look around. Look what he's doing to our peoples. No matter what your skin color, you're our peoples. And we're going to stand right beside our peoples. Every means necessary. And that's what I mean. Black power. All power to the people.
The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense draws inspiration from the Black Panther Party.
This is the real Black Panther Party. They're a continuation of the original Black Panthers, not the psycho offshoot. Yeah, I know. No, these guys seem like... Look, I'm shy about endorsements of this sort. But the other group that calls themselves the real continuation of the Black Panther Party, they're fucking weirdos, okay? These guys, I don't mind calling feds. These guys that are getting yelled at by these guys are the real deal, if that makes sense.
Founded in 1966 in the United States. The movement rejected the idea of a nonviolent revolution and instead promoted armed self-defense to counter police violence. Internal tensions and intense state repression led to the party's dissolution in the early 1980s.
Come stand with the ancestors. All power to the people. All power to the people, no power to the pig.
Online, some people question whether Paul Birdsong truly has the legitimacy to carry on the mission of the Black Panthers. Others fear that his approach could spark an escalation of violence.
I was in the blood.
They don't seem to have the numbers right. I always see them in small numbers. What do you mean? All of this stuff starts with tiny numbers.
You know what I'm saying? And I knew eventually the revolution was going to catch up to me, but I ran from it for a long time.
Birdsong was mentored by former members of the party. They were the ones that allowed him to use their logo and philosophy in a state where open carry of firearms is legal.
This is the Black Panther Party for self-defense, right? That for self-defense part is the pinnacle thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to attack us first. You throw one shot at me, I'm throwing 30 at you.
Okay,
You know
so it's not even eye for eye. It's like eye for 30 eyes.
It's like, no, what it is it's like...
I don't think any of the current parties are actual continuations. The original Black Panther Party died in the 90s after being merged into the Rainbow Coalition. A lot of groups now claim to be the successor. Some are weird right-wing groups. Some are actually pretty based. Check my logs. Yeah, I know. It's a tricky area. Because there are living, breathing, existing former Black Panther members, and even their current politics is all over the fucking place. The original Black Panther Party was a Marxist-Leninist, Maoist formation. Okay, they were very disciplined, they were very organized, and they had a very clear message. Okay, the OG Black Panther Party that the American government considered to be a terrorist group, basically, like that. It's very clear what they were. Now, a lot of the new formations of the Black Panther Party in general, well, they've been all over the place. It doesn't matter. I care about what people do, okay? I don't care about I will talk about the legacy of the Black Panther Party, but I care about what people do currently rather than the identifiers or their associations with the historic continuation of the Black Panther Party.
Our training is to make sure that if you do fire a shot at us, you and nobody next to you that has your back has the ability to fire another shot going forward. You know what I'm saying?
You are all ready for that, ready to...
Straight like that.
Is this a full-time job for most of you?
Yes. We here every day.
Every day?
Every day. It's a lifestyle now. 24/7 is a lifestyle.
It's a commitment.
Commitment. Gotta take an oath. Feel me?
Huey Newton's granddaughter that denounced Birdsong as a Trump supporter? No, I know. That's why I said it doesn't, it's whatever. The BP you showed earlier is largely made of Hoteps and Pan-Africanists that remove the leftist roots of the OG party. No, they're not even Pan-Africanists. No, these guys are literally not even Pan-Africanists. I think these guys are ADOS.
Our stance is,
this is a different formation. I think.
For illegals.
Yeah,
we're not
like you're saying illegals. Like, okay,
gonna step in front of that. That's not our fight.
Yeah, these guys are just pure reactionary. They are. It is a mess. Oh, I thought they were FBA, Foundational Black Americas or something, and not Pan-African nationalists. Pan-African nationalism is an entirely separate subject. More often than not, Pan-African nationalists are also Marxists themselves. Not all of them are. I know there's a big saga talking about Pan-African nationalists not being Marxists or whatever. It doesn't matter ultimately because they are anti-imperialist, anti-colonial in their politics, first and foremost. FBA, ADOS, African Descendants of Slaves, Foundational Black Americans, those offshoots are pure reactionary formations that have nothing to do with like Pan-African nationalism in general. As a matter of fact, they kind of separate themselves from that movement in its entirety. They literally don't even like development in Africa in general. They think like they have a whole bunch of different ideas. It's too complicated to get into.
Has nothing to do with us. You know, we're not going to step into that fight and going through the community defending.
But just, yeah, whenever you see someone that like calls themselves a Black Panther or something, but then they turn around and they like regurgitate reactionary propaganda about migrants at a time when like the migrants that are in the crosshairs are more often than not Black migrants as well, just understand that they have no consistent worldview. They have no coherent position. They're not, you know, they're just silly. They're silly reactionaries.
Somebody that we didn't even want to be here. You know what I mean? We got brought over here. We didn't want to be here. And this is a problem we've had since our shackled feet have hit the soil. So we've always had the SWAT teams coming in our communities, doing whatever they're doing. And sometimes, yes, they do pick up the wrong people and things of that nature. This is the same situation. It's just...
Dude, come on, bro. Come on. Come on, bro. Yeah, sometimes SWAT comes into our communities and picks up the wrong people. It is what it is. Like, Jesus Christ.
Got a different name. It's a raid. It's just a different name. And so, yeah, we're not in that fight. But as far as our other brown folks and things like that, we do stand up and defend, you know, the citizens and the poor and the things like that. But as far as illegal immigration, yeah, that's not our fight. That's not something we need to get into. Our stance is, you know, for illegals. We're not.
For illegals.
Yeah. And for how long will you be doing this?
You said for how long will we be doing this?
Yeah.
This is different. That I just showed you is a totally separate. This is totally separate from that other thing that I showed you.
Yeah.
These people, at least, from my assessment from afar, and I haven't looked into it too much, but from my initial, like, firsthand glance, they seem to be more serious and closer to the original Black Panther Party than any other group that I have seen.
I was a Black Panther back in the day.
Led by Paul Birdsong.
Your grandfather was a Black Panther?
Yes, my grandpa. That's why I said it's in my blood, literally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it in. We could walk at any hood at any given moment, anytime. They love us, literally.
So what's the plan now?
We're patrolling.
All right.
Like we said, in your hood, in a hood near you.
Listen, yeah. You know what I'm saying? You guys, it's your first day. So brothers is gonna make you into some lethal ass motherfucking revolutionaries. If you're scared of that, walk away. But if you're ready to step to that call, you're tired of this shit and you're ready to actually do something about it, we're gonna chisel the fuck out of you.
With rising tension around ICE operations in Minneapolis, the Panthers have increased the number of patrols and intensified their recruitment. Their goal is to protect the community against all forms of police violence. During the election campaign, Donald Trump promised to carry out the largest mass deportation in U.S. history. Over the past year, his administration says it has deported more than 605,000 undocumented immigrants.
Let's not talk about no fucking pigs out here. That shit is illegal. Yes, the fuck it will. And it's wrong because it's like they think they're above the law. They can do what the fuck they want because that's cool. They think they're above the law because Trump's stupid ass. Come on now, how you gonna wage war on your own fucking country? Y'all for being out here doing everything y'all doing for us. Because these cops ain't doing nothing for us. My little cousin almost got raped two nights ago.
Where?
On the Broad Street line.
We'll be on the Broad Street line from now on. I'm sorry
I
to
appreciate you.
Yep.
I really appreciate y'all. I've been waiting to see y'all. I heard like y'all been doing what y'all gotta do, and I appreciate y'all very much.
Tonight after the patrol, when we start the patrol, we'll go get on the line and write it down in the... You guys can go in.
During the patrol, the Panthers stopped for their traditional smoothie break.
You know, over the last couple of weeks, we've had a lot of people reaching out, but this is what my inbox looks something like. And this is just 29 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago, an hour ago, 3 hours ago, 4 hours ago, 10 hours ago, 16 hours ago.
Back at the headquarters, someone hoping to join the Black Panthers was waiting for Birdsong. In the short time we spent with the party, this happened at least 5 times.
No one's going to be there to protect us. We have to protect ourselves as well as our loved ones. Because everything that's happening right now is just, it's just ridiculous and it's out of control.
You have around how many men? Can you tell me, like, approximately?
A little under 100.
Okay.
In Philly.
Because I was hearing about...
Here, I'll give you the original 10-point program, and then I'll give you the current Black Panther Party that we're looking at. The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense 10-point program. You can figure out whether they have liberalized or not. Okay? Original 10-point program established by Bobby Seale and Huey Newton is Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale in 1966 for the Black Panther Party. Was a living document. Multiple versions of it were published. We want freedom. We want power to determine the destiny of our black and oppressed communities. We believe that black and oppressed people will not be free until we are able to determine our destinies in our own communities ourselves by fully controlling all the institutions which exist in our communities. We want full employment for our people. We believe that the federal government is responsible and obligated to give every person employment or a guaranteed income. We believe that if the American businessmen will not give full employment, then the technology and means of production should be taken from the businesses and placed in the community so that the people of the community can organize and employ all of its people and give a high standard of living. We want an end to the robbery by the capitalists of our black and oppressed communities. We believe that this racist government has robbed us and are now demanding the overdue debt of 40 acres and 2 mules. 40 acres and 2 mules were promised 100 years ago as restitution for slave labor and mass murder of black people. We will accept the payment in currency, which will be distributed to our many communities. The Germans murdered 6 million Jews. The American race has taken part in the slaughter of over 50 million black people. Therefore, we feel this is a modest demand that we make. A little bit Ta-Nehisi Coates there. We want decent housing, fit for the shelter of human beings. We believe that if the landlords will not give decent housing to our black and oppressed communities, then the housing and the land should be made into cooperatives so that the people in our communities with government aid can build and make decent housing for the people. We want education for our people that exposes the true nature of this decadent American society. We want education that teaches us our true history and our role in present-day society. We believe in the educational system that will give to our people a knowledge of self. If you do not have knowledge of yourself and your position in society and in the world, then you will have little chance to know anything else. We want all black men to be exempt from military service. We believe that black people should not be forced to fight in the military service to defend a racist government that does not protect us. We will not fight or kill other people of color in the world who, like black people, are being victimized by the white racist government of America. We will protect ourselves from the force and violence of the racist police and the racist military by whatever means necessary. Alternative, we want completely free health care for all black and oppressed people. We want an immediate end to police brutality and the murder of black people in the United States. We want freedom for all black men held in federal, state, country, or county and city prisons and jails. We want an immediate end to all wars of aggression. We want freedom for all black and poor oppressed people now held in U.S. federal, state, county, city, and military prisons and jails. We want trials by a jury of peers. The reason why they're talking about like not serving in the military is because, remember, this is time specific. Okay? Some of the quotes are, of course, some of the demands are, of course, timeless, especially because the racial wounds have not healed, never been addressed. But others specifically are demands being made around Vietnam, being sent to prison for refusing to participate in the draft. Just understand that. We want land, bread, housing, education, clothing, justice, peace, and the people's community control of modern technology. This is the governing document. The current Black Panther Party for Self-Defense 10-point program from Paul Birdsong is: we want power and freedom to determine our own social, economical, educational destiny and to establish a homeland for descendants of American slaves. We want an actual ethnic identity as opposed to being labeled and being lumped in with people who aren't. Wait, what? No, this isn't the right one. Is it? Is this actually Paul Birdsong's shit? No, I don't think this is It is the right one? Wait, he's like a fucking ADOS guy? Oh, what the fuck? It is. This is his account, isn't it? Yeah, now it's called the Black Lion Party for International Solidarity. That's a bit weird. Anyway, we want an actual ethnic identity. We want our reparations. We want them to be tax exempt. We want disenfranchisement of our people to be illegalized and ended immediately. We want the federal rent subsidy to be created, target, and decrease the black homelessness crisis in America. We want decent housing fit for shelter of human beings. We want the immediate illegalization of red line monopolies and ethnic cleansing and gentrification. We want exemption for all Second Amendment, all anti-Second Amendment legislation. We want federally funded felony forgiveness program that offers pre-release job training. I mean, even a lot of the demands are like watered down. We want immediate end to police brutality. We want black police and black communities across America. We want police to only be allowed to patrol communities they live in. Okay, that last part is good. But yeah, they had to like change the name of their movement because the Black Panther Party said, no, that's not.
All power to the people. As everyone knows, I'm Paul Birdsong. I got a message from Aaron Dixon today saying that he no longer supports us. That after he gave me orders to make a video saying that him and other members were coming, that he withdrew his support. That he said that this situation is unimportant to him, even though my comrades have risked their lives and spent thousands of hours of their time and dollars in life standing behind a cause. You know, he said he's going to make a statement saying no one has the right to call himself a Black Panther going forward. I told him to make sure that he put in that statement that he did in fact give us the right to call ourselves that, because I still have the messages where he did, just in case he doesn't. And I put in there also, make sure that you put in there that Emory Douglas did give us the right to wear that emblem, because I still have the messages where that happened too. But as it stands, because of that, because of me and my comrades risking our lives and all the heat that we went under, because of the counter-revolutionary practices, because we don't believe in Black nationalism, like Bobby Seale said in the video that I shared on my page earlier, that Black nationalism is acquiesce to racism, and that we don't stand like that we're internationalists and intercommunalists, just like Huey Newton said.
Okay, but I don't understand. So they're internationalists, but also at the same time they're saying like we want a specific designation between African descendants of slaves as opposed to all Black people. In any case, I also don't like that. I mean, I don't know. I just, I'm in support of anybody that's trying to fight back against this government. You know what I mean? That's my position. So, good on them.
That we will no longer identify with this flag. We will no longer identify ourselves as the Black Panther Party for self-defense. We're going to take OG from the town's advice. We're going to take the name that he decided to put out there. We're going to call ourselves the Black Lion Party for International Solidarity. Reason for the international solidarity is because we will stand with the immigrants. We will stand with the people being terrorized for ICE. We will stand with any oppressed people across the world. We will keep feeding every single day, keep offering food every single day. We will keep patrolling the community with guns. We will keep stopping drug dealers, keep stopping sex traffickers. We will keep stopping police brutality. This little plaque that I got, it says Paul Birdsong, and as a Panther, it says since 2020. I don't regret the work that I've done because it's brought me to this point. But going forward, these Panther patches will no longer be on my uniforms. Me and my comrades stand independent. We're willing to work with any organization that stands for the rights of every living person. Any organization that stands against imperialism, attacking immigrants. Now, if you're out here raping people and killing people and selling...
I mean, this stuff is good. Like, this stuff is actually valid. It's good. You know?
Drugs and different stuff like that, yeah, deport them. But those people out there that are just working hard, trying to provide for their families, trying to escape.
Wait, what the fuck?
Me and my comrades stand independent. We're willing to work with any organization that stands for the rights of every living person. Any organization that stands against imperialism, attacking immigrants. Now, if you're out here raping people and killing people and selling drugs and different stuff like that, yeah, deport them.
Yeah,
but
okay.
Those people out there that are just working hard, trying to provide for their families, trying to escape the guerrilla
I just heard
warfare.
deport them, so you know.
And the cartel warfare that's happening in their countries to come for that promise of the American dream that the United States of America Incorporated lies about, we feel that they shouldn't be bothered, and we're willing to stand beside them to ensure that they're not. All power to the people.
All power to the people.
Oh.
Most people don't know how base the OG Black Panther Party political line was. It was legit the most base political movement this country's ever had. There's a reason even third world Marxist movements respect them. This is why it's really huge task to claim their legacy. I feel like it's much easier to just make something new and say you're inspired by the Black Panther Party. Still got to respect the grind, though. Yeah, there's nothing, dude. It's fucking. It's hard to compare. God, American politics used to be so much more radical. Straight up.
Damn, this guy's good.